Beautiful afternoon at Roger Dean Stadium. It's spring training 2017, and this afternoon it's the Miami Marlins playing host to the St. Louis Cardinals. And welcome to baseball, everyone. That's Todd Hollinsworth. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Great to have you with us. And Todd, I think it's the age-old question: how much stock do you put into winning and losing in spring training?
Well, winning's a lot better than losing, and the Cardinals have been doing a lot of winning this spring training. In a division where you want to beat the Cubs, I think winning in spring training probably matters a little bit more.
Cardinals 10-4-2. On the other side, Miami has not won back-to-back games this spring training. They're 4-8-2. Let's talk about today in the pitching matchup. Couple of right-handers, Adam Wainwright and Tom Kohler.
Yeah, this is a great, nice little matchup. Adam Wainwright doing a great job mixing up his pitches this spring. That's what he's going to be this year. Tom Kohler looking to bounce back from a little bit of a rough spring start his last time out.
Adam Wainwright, Tom Kohler. It's the Miami Marlins. It's the St. Louis Cardinals. Spring training baseball. It rolls on 2017. It's coming up with your starting lineups in first pitch next.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, give proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does
Sophia Kissel with today's national anthem. We get the chance and the privilege to do this every spring. It's a shared telecast. Todd Hollinsworth of Fox Sports Florida with us. I'm Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest. There's a look at David Bell. And for the second game in a row, he will be the Cardinals' acting manager. Mike Matheny did arrive at the ballpark today, then was sent back home as he is battling the flu, along with the longtime broadcaster of the St. Louis Cardinals, Mike Shannon. Those two have the flu, but Mike has made it. One of them, the other one has not. And there's Don Mattingly, 7th season as a manager of the big leagues. His second year with the Marlins. What do you anticipate from Don this year?
Well, there's a lot of enthusiasm for this upcoming season. A lot of people are really hoping, myself included, believe that this Marlins team can be great if they can stay healthy. Giancarlo Stanton, 150 games played. Christian Yelich, take the next step. D. Gordon, bounce back, score more runs. You look at this lineup on paper, they're really, really exciting, but they've got to kind of live up to the hype, and I think that's what this season's going to be about.
Don Mattingly finished 5th in the Manager of the Year ballot a year ago. It went to Dave Roberts in his first season with the Dodgers. We're at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. This complex has been shared by the Marlins and the Cardinals since 1998. It's a beautiful day, 80 degrees. We're expecting a lot of rain tomorrow, mostly cloudy here this afternoon, and the wind is still, which is always something you think about at this ballpark. More times than not, Todd, as you know, it blows in. Very tough ballpark to hit in, but today, wind is still. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, it's that time of spring training where if you're struggling just a little bit, you want to start barreling up right about now, and a good day to hit, no doubt about it. You're right. You try to take advantage of some of the conditions, but when you play in Florida, listen, you want to get your mojo and get going. Arizona, great place to hit. Here in Florida, a little bit more difficult. Maybe get you ready for the season a little bit better. But listen, it's all about those line drives for the hitters today and finding that green grass.
Take a look at the Cardinals lineup, which is presented by Chevrolet. Many of the regulars are in there today. Tommy Pham will play center field. He'll lead it off, followed by Aledmys Diaz. This is his first start in the past 4 games. Then Johnny Peralta, he'll be your everyday third baseman. Steven Piscotty, Randall Grichuk, Matt Adams, Colton Wong, Jose Martinez. He's had a great camp for the Cardinals. He'll serve as the designated hitter. And Eric Fryer is the catcher for David Bell's club. Marlins have taken to the field, and it's Tom Kohler who gets the start today.
Yeah, Tom Kohler looking to bounce back from a little bit of an, well, I'm not going to call it too much of a spring training bad start because we're not going to make too much of it, but faced the Cardinals last time out, was a little off, certainly looking to bounce back, go out there today, really establish that fastball and get those secondary pitches starting to work here halfway through spring training. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs as we take a look at the Marlins defensively on the infield. This could be a real plus for this club. Matt Youngel at third base today. Denny Hechavarria, D. Gordon, and Justin Bohr. This could be. They're a very athletic team. You got Talise behind the plate today, so you have some guys getting some opportunity as the big guys. Martin Prado, obviously WBC, Christian Yelich out there. Around the outfield, Marcell Ozuna, Ichiro Suzuki, Moises Sierra. Yes, this is an athletic team that can play good defense, no doubt about it.
You got 12 years in the big leagues, former Rookie of the Year, been on championship teams. What's it like for you as a former player to see this guy still going in the big leagues, Ichiro Suzuki?
Well, we're virtually the same age, so I've kind of answered the question by saying that right there, right? Haven't I? We're the same age. I've been retired for like 10 years now, for crying out loud. His conditioning has been, you know, listen, off the charts. I mean, we've heard the stories of, you know, he brings the gym with him and everything else, but he is a beacon of health, no doubt about it. He's kept himself healthy, active, the bat speed's still there, and still an incredibly productive major leaguer.
Picked up hit number 3,000 in Colorado this past season. The 10-time All-Star, couple of batting titles and an MVP, 10 Gold Gloves. Still has a plus arm, and he can play all 3 outfield positions, which he did a year ago for the Marlins.
Well, and he's going to get more of those opportunities. Now, hopefully not. Tim, listen, I've played this role, the 4th outfielder with Ichiro, and I know that's what he's doing, but you know, you look at the starting lineup, you're thinking, he should get a few starts. If he's getting too many, that means somebody got hurt. So he knows his role now, and he does it really well.
This could be a 4th outfielder for the Cardinals, and that's Tommy Pham. He'll lead it off. Pham this spring hitting .174 with 1 RBI and no home runs. There's a battle right now in camp with Jose Martinez, Harrison Bader, and Tommy Pham for one of those extra spots on the bench. The first pitch from the New York native is a strike to Pham. Tom Kohler is a guy that the Marlins really can count on because he takes the ball every 5th day. At least 31 starts in each of the last 3 years.
And incredibly consistent, incredibly durable. He's a big part of this rotation for that very reason. We obviously know the circumstances from last year. Jose Fernandez no longer leading the top of this rotation. This rotation is put together differently. A guy like Tom Kohler fits in perfectly into this rotation. Gives you the innings, gives you the competitiveness.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, for Tommy Pham, it's always been a question of staying healthy. And this is a big year for him to prove whether or not he is an everyday or at least a major league player for a full season. He's even said that publicly. The 1-2. A curveball in the dirt.
Nice job burying that pitch right there, trying to get Tommy to chase. Again, this is that time of spring training where you're looking to make pitches. As a hitter, you're still trying to find that barrel. I talked about it as we opened the game today, opened the show here. You know, Tom Kohler, he's working on his secondary pitches as well, trying to make pitchers pitches to get these outs.
Outfield is straight away and a 2-2 pitch. You mentioned the name of Jose Fernandez. Can you go anywhere around Miami or in this surrounding area in Jupiter where people aren't talking about that and how this club rebounds from that loss from a year ago?
No, you can't. I wished I could, but that's not the truth. The reality is that the loss is so significant.
There's a swing and a miss and a strikeout for Kohler.
It is so felt here in South Florida that the only thing, to answer your question, the only thing that will heal this is time. It's plain and simple. I mean, Edinson Volquez, that's not going to be. Edinson Volquez is going to be Edinson Volquez. Dan Straley is going to be Dan Straley. Jose Fernandez was 1 in a million, and he's no longer here. So yeah, it's about healing and getting better.
Here's a Ledmus Diaz, who was his boyhood friend. Those two grew up in the same street in Cuba. Diaz, and maybe we'll have a chance to show it later in the game, but he has it etched in his glove, the JF, and his number as well, so he always remembers him, he says, in the field. Here's the 0-1 pitch. And now it's 0-2. Diaz, one of the great surprises this time last year for the Cardinals, as he made the All-Star team after injuries, and all of a sudden he becomes your everyday shortstop in 2017.
Well, this young man, I'll tell you what, I got a good glimpse of him last year. He can hit. He's got the hard part figured out. I know that there's been some conversation, obviously, about the glove and getting him acclimated and obviously more involved, more readily, you know, better range, better, you know, justifiable. He justifies the bat, there's no doubt about it. He continues to hit in spring, hit all last year. Everybody in the National League Central certainly knows that.
And 474 this spring. There's D. Gordon on a bouncer, and there's 2 down. So 2 up and 2 down, and it brings in Johnny Peralta. Tom Kohler, I mentioned, a New York native. Favorite player growing up, his manager, Don Mattingly.
Yeah, that's great to see right there, and it certainly makes sense. I think we all kind of think that way. We have all favorite players for different reasons. You know, I was a left-handed kid, you know, my whole life. Favorite player, Mike Schmidt. Like, I'm not going to be a third baseman, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but he is. I mean, you grew up kind of loving guys that way.
Talked to Mike the other day. I was actually playing golf at his club, and he is going to be working for the Phillies on weekend broadcasts. So they keep him involved there. He goes back to Philly on those home weekends and part of their TV telecast. And he actually has been in uniform the past couple of weeks working with their young third baseman. What a neat man he is.
Good to have him back and in the fold, certainly, with the Phillies, no doubt about it.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Johnny Peralta. So when you're watching Kohler, what stands out for you? Is there a plus pitch, or is he just kind of, you know what, takes the ball every 5th inning, gives you innings?
Absolutely balanced. And when you watch his effectiveness, and when he's down in the zone, he's certainly got a great two-seamer, great late movement, 92, 93 miles an hour on that fastball. Good. His slider is vital to what he does, but again, really establishing that fastball down in the zone. You've seen all inning long where these pitches have been, and you think, okay, listen, I faced the St. Louis Cardinals just a day ago. Yeah, you see it right here, getting on top of that ball and really driving it down. And that was one of the issues he had his last start, that he's trying to make the adjustment here in spring training. Again, this is a work in progress for all these guys.
1 ball and 2 strikes. They shade him in the outfield to pull. And Peralta taps it foul.
That's what I find amazing about the WBC, and we're watching these great games that we saw again last night. But, you know, the competitiveness is there with the players, but they're in spring training shape, and it's just so amazing to me to kind of put that mindset into the games themselves, but yet, you know, demand or hope for expectation. you know, as those games are being played, come through in the clutch.
Here's a 1-2 again. And a swing and a miss. Good start for Kohler. 1-2-3. And he strikes out a pair here in the first inning. Cardinals go 1-2-3. Marlins coming up. And there's no score.
You don't look like
in the Cardinals rotation for years. Went 13-9 as he was closing in on 200 innings last year. Derek Lilliquist, keep an eye on Wainwright, trying to work and tinker on a couple of different things. One, improve a breaking ball that's always been his signature pitch, but also the changeup, which he showed an awful lot of in his last start.
Adam Wainwright, boy, he's a bit of a tinkerer. He always talks about spring training, just trying to get better. And I think that he's understanding the evolution of age, you know, factoring into, you know, losing a little bit on the fastball. What do I have to be effective?
Here's D. Gordon, hit 268 a year ago. High chopper. Is there a play? Race to the bag and safe at first. Young man can fly.
Well, that's what you're looking for, D. Gordon. A little bit of contact a lot of times is a good thing. And a chopper right there, what do they call that? The Baltimore chop. Is that what we just witnessed right there? Able to beat it out to first base. That is D's game. Get on base.
Wainwright may have missed the bag, and that's why Gordon was safe. And D had 30 steals a year ago, missed time with the PED suspension, and wound up with 14 of his 30 stolen bases in September alone. And now it's Ichiro, who's hitting an even 100 this spring.
And D doesn't have a stolen base this spring. You would expect that he's going to probably run a little bit, but not a lot. That's very, very common for guys. They don't want to put themselves in harm's way. They certainly don't want a hamstring injury or anything like that in spring training. But again, you want to get into your rhythm. You want to get your timing down and attempt a few stolen bases at some point.
Could be two. Adams bobbled it just a bit and throws it into left. Never had a good grip on the baseball. And now Ichiro is caught in a rundown. Wong will tag him out, throw to third, and that's wide, and Gordon winds up at third base.
Well done.
Just like you drive off, huh?
Exactly. If that wasn't a spring training play, I don't know what is. My goodness gracious, relay throw back in. Ichiro, big turn at first base. A little bit too big. You see it right here. Matt Adams in good position, has plenty of time to make the throw, just holds on to it a little bit too long and kind of yanks it into left field. Ichiro came flying around first base, as you see right there, and they're able to get him in the rundown because he was caught in no man's land. D really took a chance, kind of trying to push it right there, but able to get into third base.
Whoop. Strong throw there by Grichuk, and then Wong had to avoid Adams to make the catch there from Grichuk.
Yeah, and Peralta had to make a save on the throw to third. My goodness. Is it Sunday? It is, isn't it?
Spring training for sure.
Yeah.
Here's Marcell Ozuna. The infield is drawn in. Ozuna, an all-star a year ago.
Miami Marlins, you've seen it already. D. Gordon at the top, Suzuki, Ozuna, Bohr, Echeverria, Wengel, Sierra, Talise, and Cabrera.
There's a 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike, infield in, spring training game in the first innings. Trying to work on some different things here.
And you got to remember that. That's exactly right. You know, normally you probably aren't going to see this, but at the same time, you want to put your players in position to make plays and do things that you don't necessarily see all the time, and this is one of them. Bring your infield in early. Good hitter at the plate, and Ozuna. Wainwright trying to make pitch.
And the 1-1 is popped up. Into center. That's Tommy Pham. Gordon will tag up. The throw to the plate is not in time, and it's 1-0 Miami. The RBI for Ozuna, his 3rd of the spring.
Nice job right there. Ozuna doing what the job required. D. Gordon getting a nice break right there. Close play. Good throw by Pham. 1 hop right into home right there. You see D. Gordon just underneath the tag right there. But good job by Ozuna getting that sacrifice fly, that ball in the air deep enough to get the speedy Gordon home.
There's Justin Bour. He had 264 a year ago with 15 home runs. Hurt his ankle on the 2nd of July. And at that time, he had 15 home runs in 68 games. So he's got tremendous power, especially against right-handed pitching.
He is one of the X factors for the Miami Marlins this year, no doubt about it. I mean, people talk expectation, the capability to hit 30 homers, driving 100 runs. Yeah, his season was cut short last year, but when you watch him take batting practice this morning, I mean, goodness gracious, he has got his... I'm not going to dare go there with Stanton, but it's close. I mean, this man can hit a baseball hard and far, and they're hoping that he's the left-handed complement to Stanton.
Such an important spot in the lineup for Miami. Any kind of protection for Giancarlo Stanton. If you don't have it, he's not pitched to, that production drops.
Well, and yeah, it's exactly how this game works. It's all about making them pay. I mean, the conversation more times than not is about moving the line. We don't just sit around and wait for homers all the time. You want to keep the line moving, keep productive, keep the pitcher sweating and working out there. And if you're going to give Giancarlo Stanton passes, you're going to have to make him pay behind him at some point and make them pitch to Stanton.
3 balls, 1 strike with 2 outs and nobody on. Wainwright delivering to Justin Bour. Saw that little hesitation there from Wainwright, always trying to mix things up and disrupt the timing of the
magic
hitter.
Tricks. Yep. Magic tricks. Hey, listen, it's the art of pitching, and Adam Wainwright has done this so long and so successfully. But again, again, trying to make a pitch right there, understands and recognizes Bour's power. He's not going to just throw him a 3-1 cookie right down the middle of the plate. He's going to try to make a pitch and try to throw his timing off by that little hiccup he did before he started his delivery.
Danny Echeverria looks at strike 1. You think about the huge deal the Marlins pulled off with Toronto in 2012. Not many knew about it, but this 27-year-old shortstop has become one of the best pieces for the Miami Marlins coming back.
Absolutely, and they're really just hoping for the consistency, and it's the right age. I'm going to go ahead and say it because he's 27 and he's been in the big leagues long enough to say they're hoping for consistency from him, and it really is that simple. Having a good spring with the bat.
That's off
right
the
there.
glove of Peralta and down into the left field corner. Bour is going to be held up at 3rd. And so Echeverria extends this first inning against Adam Wainwright.
The third baseman, number 88, Matt Yango.
And he got a pitch to his liking and got the barrel out. Echeverria really swinging the bat well this spring, just underneath the glove of Peralta. He'll tell you he probably should have had it, but again, good piece of hitting right there. A little top spinner down the 3rd base line.
Runners at 2nd and 3rd. For the Marlins folks that are tuning in for the first time, that's the voice of Todd Hollandsworth. He'll be with you all season long on Fox Sports Florida. And also a new face is your 3rd base coach and a guy that's been around a long time, and Freddie Gonzalez.
Yeah, one of the best. Former manager, certainly has earned his stripes in the game of baseball, no doubt about it. Thrilled to see Freddie this morning. Great guy, great personality, great coach. Great addition to this team, no doubt.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Matt Youngel. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cards not sharp here early on defensively, which was one of their issues that they had a year ago. And there's a look at Freddie, longtime manager, back in uniform with the Marlins. Here's a 1-1. Popped foul and out of play. Is this the time in spring training where position players in particular are saying, you know what, I'm about ready?
Usually. It all depends. It's a great question, and it's a bit of a difficult question to answer just because it depends on who you're talking to.
Sure.
If you're 1 for 10 or you're 1 for 20, you say, I got a lot of work to do, you know?
Right.
Right? If you're 10 for 20, you're feeling like things are right and I'm in a good spot right now. I'm seeing the ball. Yeah, let's get to the start of this season. I found the barrel. That's what I was talking about at the beginning. You know, you're in that position where barreling up's important, and on a good day to hit like it is, where the winds aren't blowing so hard, you want to try to find that barrel a few times and build that confidence. That's what spring training's all about. Whether it's the pitchers, the players, it's all about getting your confidence in the right spot before the start of the season.
2-2. Curveball, little squibber that's foul. Don Mattingly back with, as we mentioned, Freddie Gonzalez. First base coach is Perry Hill, one of the top instructors defensively in all of baseball. Juan Nieves is the pitching coach. There's a look at Perry Hill. He's a good one.
One of the best.
The 2-2 pitch. And he struck him out. The Marlins, though, strike first for Don Mattingly's club. Donnie Baseball in his second year with Miami. And by the Chevy Silverado, the new face of strong Chevrolet. Find new roads at your local Mid-America Chevy dealer. Reminder that Cardinals themed tickets allow fans to celebrate a common interest while enjoying access to a unique promotional item or exclusive pregame event. Cardinals.com/theme. Along with Todd Hollinsworth of Fox Sports Florida, I'm Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest. Our shared telecast here this afternoon. These are always a lot of fun. Stephen Piscotty leads it off, followed by Randall Grichuk and Matt Adams. The 25-year-old Piscotty, a bust-out season a year ago, led the Cardinals in RBIs and runs scored. At .273 with 22 home runs. Todd a year ago was doing Cubs pre and post game, so you saw a lot of these St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah. And that'll be probably the two teams again in the Central Division, looking at St. Louis and Chicago. Yeah, it's very familiar with the St. Louis Cardinals, well-run organization. Yeah, no doubt about it. That Cardinals team is certainly one that the Cubs pay attention to. We know the rivalry. It's back. It's healthy. It's alive. But this is a good Cardinal team. It was interesting to me how the Cardinals, even from my playing days to what I witnessed last year, it was like the first time I've ever seen the Cardinals all about the long ball. You know, a little bit some struggles on the defensive side of things, maybe some issues at times in the starting rotation. Like, that was never their story. It was always pitching, defense, and we'll figure out how to score enough runs. It was almost like it was the opposite story last year. Believe me, we felt the same way. Yeah, well, that's how it goes. 2 balls, 1 strike on Piscotty. The Cardinals last year, their offense, so much of it was predicated on the long ball, as you mentioned. They had 225 home runs, second in Major League Baseball, and that was the second highest total in franchise history. Right. The 3-1 to Piscotty. Check swing did not go, and it's a leadoff walk as you get a look at John Mabry, the hitting coach.
John Mabry got him swinging for the fences. Is that what it is? I've heard the cry. I was reading a piece on Mike Matheny. He was talking about, you know, early on in spring training, wanting his team, his players, to be more athletic, thinking first to third, try not to be so Homer-centric.
Yeah. And it has,
a word.
you know, it's been that way too for the Cardinals, for those of us that have been in camp. And one of the guys that said he wanted to be more athletic is standing at first base.
Right.
That's Stephen Piscotty. And here's Randall Grichuk, who is making the transition from center field to left. And Todd, you're a guy that played all over the outfield. Is that hard to go from center to left?
No, it's not as hard to go from center to left as it is to go from left to center, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
But it should, because, again, the responsibilities and the demands of a left fielder are so different than that of a center fielder. You don't have to run the outfield. You don't call all the shots, and you're probably going to stay in better health. I mean, as we know, some outfields, including the one in St. Louis, you got to be able to cover some ground, and in some instances cover for guys who aren't as fast as you are, if that makes any sense. I think this is a good move for Grichuk, who had a great second half last year. Getting him out of center field, I felt like there was such demand on him physically, and he did play at times, made some great catches. I remember them and covered a lot of ground, but I felt like, you know, I guess I saw the similarity in Grichuk that I see in myself, and I struggled with this as a young man coming up with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I was 205 pounds when I got to the big leagues, and I was 6'2". I hadn't put any man muscle on yet. I was running all over the place, 145, 150 games, no big deal. About my third year in the league, I was 220 pounds. I started to fill out and get bigger, and my body took a different beating as I just, even in my 20s, was still playing center field. I made the transition to a little bit more of a left fielder and a right fielder, and things got a little easier for me.
Excuse me, swing and a double play.
Just like he drew it up.
Yep. So now there's 2 outs and nobody on, and here is Matt Adams. Take me inside what Adams is trying to do here. This was back in late February. Hands were dropped. Now he's raised them ever so slightly. It's all about just trying to get to the baseball.
Well, it's all about the entry into the hitting zone. That's really more about what that's about. At least that's what I see. When you start with your hands in the hitting zone, you have a tendency to stay flat, maybe too long. You're already in the hitting zone. It's more of a Tony Gwynn approach, and I would bet he would tell you, Matt Adams, that there was maybe some pop-ups and too many ground balls. When you have your hands a little higher, you have a little bit more authority as you enter. Think about it. Your hands are coming down into the zone. You're creating momentum through contact and through the baseball. So you see a swing, it's more like into the zone and through the zone as opposed to just staying in the zone. You lose some bat speed when you start with your hands that low.
Matt thus far, a couple of home runs, average at 240 with 4 RBIs this spring.
A real nice swing yesterday.
Yes, sir. Home run that got out of here in a hurry. Now the Marlins are shifting. Neither one of these clubs shift all that much when you look at the final numbers. Adams with a high fly ball into center field. Ichiro is back and goodbye. One of the deepest parts of this park. And Matt Adams has his 3rd home run this spring, and home runs in back-to-back days.
Matt Adams got a fastball to his liking. Boy, drove it out to center field. My goodness gracious. It is some power. I've always known he's had it. I think the Cardinals are hoping he'll do it more consistently this year. But you see right there, wow, that's so quick, so short and quick into the zone. You see those hands. We just talked about it. Entry into the zone, and then he backed it up, stayed strong on that backside, and drove it out to center field. Good swing right there by Matt Adams.
Now it's Colton Wong, who will be the everyday second baseman, more than likely for the Cardinals. The Cardinals could have a bench that features Adams and features a Jed Jerko at 30 home runs a year ago. Jose Martinez has been impressive in this camp. And as we've talked about, as they try to shore up their defense, one way to do that is to play Colton Wong maybe a little bit more. Good defensive player.
Well, and a great defensive player. He's got hit. Let's just be honest. I mean, it's a simple question to answer. We've seen what he can do with the bat and what he can do athletically. This kid is so gifted. He's just got to hit. He's got to hit consistently. I think that's Mike Matheny's greatest question. If he does it enough, he's going to play every day. Shoot, he's going to play every day because his glove's so good. And, you know, I think they miss him when he's not out there.
Let's hope everybody's all right with that foul ball. That was a rope into the seats. There is protective netting here at the ballpark for the 2nd year, which extends beyond the beginning of the dugout all the way to the end near the camera well, as Wong as his swing and a miss.
Nice slider right there by Tom. Really stayed on top of it, top to bottom, entered the hitting zone. You saw it for a good while and ended up down there at the bottom. Colton chasing it.
2-2 the count with 2 outs and nobody on. There it is again. Nasty pitch by Tom Kohler. And Wong couldn't pull the trigger. Matt Adams, his 3rd home run this spring for the Cardinals. And with that, we're tied 1-1. St. Louis, Miami, spring training 2017. In the bottom of the 2nd. Only 9 games at home for the Marlins in the month of April.
And sometimes you don't get it. I mean, you'd think that the Marlins, being a warm weather team, would graciously welcome anybody from the north that wants to come on down and enjoy some of this great sunshine in South Florida. Why why the trip to the great Northwest to kick off the season? My goodness gracious. Any farther away?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a wow, no doubt about it.
Moises Sierra. And he takes a ball low. That was the changeup by Wainwright, something that he was showing a little bit more of in his previous start. Outfield is straight away. And the 1-1 pitch. I've never understood why baseball wouldn't start with the majority of the games, if the schedule allows, right, playing in Miami and playing in dome stadiums.
Well, I completely agree. I've just understood that, you know, all the fist pounding, I'm sure there's an answer behind it. And the people who put the schedule together probably have that answer. And we just realized that it's not as simple as maybe we all think it is. But, you know, being a team like the Miami Marlins who play in a warm weather city all season long, you know, you would think that the majority of their games would, because it's inconsequential, meaning, you know, the Nats, I mean, pick a team, whoever you want, up in the north where they're getting, my understanding, about ready to get pounded with some snow. Would love to be,
Boston.
Yeah, would love to be down here playing early on in the season, as opposed to trying to, you know, get those games in so early.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. That's hit out of play.
Moises Sierra's had a real nice spring training. Comes in hitting 400.
And he's in right field today. Obviously, the everyday right fielder for the Marlins will be Stanton. Real key for the Marlins this year. A lot of things, as we've talked about, have to go right, but Stanton has to stay healthy too.
Well, it's big. I mean, he's the guy. Face the franchise, the man.
Good breaking ball there by Adam Wainwright as he picks up his 2nd strikeout. Let's turn to our Toyota keys to the game for Adam Wainwright. Fine-tuning the changeup and the breaking ball, And for the Marlins, it starts at the top.
Well, it starts at the top. Just a couple of guys, and you saw it there in the first inning. D. Gordon, Ichiro getting things rolling. Both a little bit of a slow spring. I mean, again, nobody's panicking here, but again, you want to start to see some consistency at the top of that lineup. And to your point, you know, the keys with the Marlins on the year. D. Gordon bouncing back, didn't have the year that he had hoped for last year. Giancarlo Stanton in right field, 150 games. Do what you do, you know, just being healthy. Maybe Christian Yelich, as we said a little earlier, taking the next step. I mean, when you look at the Marlins on paper, they're a very enticing team to say, that's my sleeper team. Yeah, the Nats are good, and we certainly know the Mets and their starting rotation, but you look at this Marlins team, and they have a lot of answers. They really do. I mean, most people that are baseball people know this team.
Aledmys Diaz. The ball that's hit to short by Talis. 2 down. A lot of the focus of the Cardinals was trying to shore up their defense coming into this spring training. And folks look at Diaz and you see a lot of errors a year ago. Majority of those were suffered in the first month and a half. And then after that, as he got comfortable, speed of the game, they were eliminated.
Well, he was really challenged with that. And as I had mentioned about, you know, having the hard part down, he really did. I mean, hitting at the big league level today with these
not
guys,
that easy.
They're throwing 97 miles an hour, and the starters are throwing. In my day and age, 97, you're the closer. We'll see you one time. I mean, you just didn't have to deal with it nearly the same way. But, you know, having that part down, but you're right, understanding the defense and having to get better.
Ramon Cabrera pops it up, foul territory. And Adams is there in front of his own dugout and puts it away. A 1-2-3 for Adam Wainwright. It'll be Jose Martinez, Eric Pryor, and Tommy Pham coming up for St. Louis.
Roomy and
complex. It's the Marlins here today. Tom Kohler in the top of the third. Our score is 1-1. Todd Hollandsworth of Fox Sports Florida, Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest with you. Here's Jose Martinez. Impressive spring, getting work at first base and the outfield. Very quick bat, nearly 900 games in the minor leagues, and then finally got the call up towards the end of last season for St. Louis.
And a pretty good showing at that.
Absolutely.
I think it was a 7 for 14, something like that in there. 6-14. We'll have to look that up. But I remember Jose coming up and having some big hits there at the end of the season, and obviously having a great spring training right now as well. Is he fighting his way out of this roster?
He's going to have a chance for sure. He's in the conversation, and you know, here's a guy that 2 years ago wins a batting championship. Unfortunately for him, does not get called up to the Royals in the year that they win the World Series.
Right.
However, you know, you think a guy might be bitter about that? He took a very professional approach, at least outwardly, to us, and he said, you know, the Royals were in a pennant chase. He said if they were a lesser team, yeah, I should be called up. He said, but I get it. They had a rhythm going. Wasn't a spot for me. Didn't get the call up. But that's That's tough to handle.
Wow.
You win a batting championship and you're not called up.
That's a pro approach right there. Is you know, deal with what you can deal with or what you're handed, and obviously an unfortunate set of circumstances right there, because he earned his way there.
Absolutely.
And has continued to handle himself like a pro, and is at least by my eyes fighting his way onto this roster. He's done nothing but hit.
370 the average, and he's got power. He's 6'7". 3 home runs this spring. 3 balls, 1 strike. Both managers have talked about extending their starters a little bit further today, and that's well hit. Into right center. Ichiro is on the move. He won't get there. Martinez on his way to third with a triple. Slipping was Sierra, the right fielder of the Marlins, and it's a leadoff triple for Jose Martinez.
Martinez staying back. 3-1 count right there. Got himself a fastball. Tom's done that a couple times. Got himself a couple elevated fastballs. One to Matt Adams and one right there to Martinez, and has paid the price for it. Sierra, you see that slip right there, but Martinez thinking third all the way. I'll tell you what, he got around first base and those legs started to spread. I saw that 6-7 like he was running. He's about 3 steps away from third base already.
Long and lanky.
Long and lanky, that's right.
Corners are in on the infield. Here's the 9th place hitter, Eric Fryer, hitting .250 in this camp. More than likely, he is ticketed to be the backup to Yadier Molina, who's with Team Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. And the Marlins have Martin Prado, Christian Yelich, and Stanton all away from camp with their respective teams in the WBC.
Big day for all 3 yesterday.
Absolutely.
Good test for Tom Kohler right here as he starts to make pitches. You got the infield in, and again, we talked about this with Wainwright. When you bring that infield in, you're trying to make pitches, keep the ball in the infield, do the drills. It's a good test because, again, it's not just rearing back and getting your rhythm and getting your pitch counts. You hear that a lot in spring training. Just want to get my pitch count up, but this is part of the work. This is the process that gets you to where you want to be when the season starts.
Now the infield is all drawn in, and it's 1-2. At one point, the Marlins went 28 games on their infield without committing an error. That's the longest streak in the modern era a season ago. Echeverria, one of the top defenders. Martin Prado, outstanding. D. Gordon has won a Gold Glove. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Fryer. And a swing and a miss. So Kohler gets the strikeout. Here's what Todd was alluding to, the big days. Martin Prado 5 for 5, Stanton 1 for 3, Yelich 2 for 4, and Volquez the starter for the Dominican team.
Solid day yesterday. I mean, even for Edinson Volquez, he was let down by his defense a little bit. There was a ball in right field that should have been caught that cost him a run. So I thought he threw the ball pretty well, but you look at everybody else. Martin Prado, holy cow, by the way, he had a walk in there. Base 6 times. Stanton and Yelich, big doubles, big RBI doubles. So, right, Marlins fans, you know what? Yesterday was a good day, just in a different sort of way. If you were here or watching the game against the Astros, you didn't see those guys, but if you turned on the WBC, you did, for sure.
And those are the guys that are going to make this go for the Marlins this year.
Most definitely, absolutely.
Infield drawn in for Tommy Pham. He struck out swinging. He's in the leadoff spot for the Cardinals today. 0 for 1. Pitch in the dirt and kept in front by Talis.
Tom Kohler continues to do a great job working down in the zone. You see, trying to get those chase pitches. If you remember back to the first bat of the ball game against Tommy Pham, he made some pitches at the low half of the zone. Tommy chased. That's what you do in the game of baseball. You remember what you did to get a guy out. He's trying to do the exact same thing again. If he puts the ball in play, likely will be on the ground, or you'll get a swing and a miss. So he's going to try that again here with Tommy Pham. He's doing some good work here, Tom Kohler is.
1 ball and a strike on Pham. Outfield is straight away. Infield drawn in. There's strike 2.
Challenging him right there, but it's going to be the low zone.
He played this game at a high level. You can imagine trying to do it with poor vision, and that has been the issue with Tommy Pham. He's had corrective lenses time and again. He suffers from a condition that not many people have, but it does hurt him in terms of just trying to pick up the baseball.
Right.
We can't see. It's tough to hit.
You always talk about trying to pick up those seams. I can only imagine.
And a swing and a miss, and Pham strikes out. So Kohler's come back after the leadoff triple, struck out Fire, and strikes out Pham.
Nice change right here. Now, we talked about going. Now, listen, that wasn't exactly where he wanted it. But again, when you think of the sequencing of the pitches right there, Tom had done nothing but at the knees or lower to Tommy Pham right there. You saw that pitch elevated just a little bit, overmatched. Tommy Pham in that situation picks up the strikeout.
So 5 strikeouts now for Kohler, 2 back-to-back. And here is Aledmys Diaz, who bounced to Dee Gordon at second base first time up. Had him out in front, and it's fouled back. It had been 37 years since the Cardinals had a homegrown shortstop in the All-Star game. The last prior to Aledmys Diaz, Gary Templeton in 1979.
My goodness. That's surprising. It really is.
Ozzie came over from the Padres and a great deal for the Cardinals. Not homegrown. Templeton was. That's chopped foul. 0-2. And he was a replacement in the All-Star game for Matt Carpenter. And the first rookie to go to the All-Star game for the Cardinals since a guy named Albert Pujols. Pujols will hit number 600 at some point this year, and not too far away from 3,000 hits.
He is still hammering the fastball routinely. I saw so much of Pujols last year, and boy, oh boy, he can still get to the baseball. I mean, he's not running as well, but man, oh man, can he still get the barrel to a high velocity fastball and turn it around. It's really amazing.
He's using a 40-ounce bat.
I don't.
What do majority guys use, ounce-wise?
I didn't use a 40-ounce weighted bat to get loose. How about that? Is that what you want to? I mean, Albert is, again, he's a special player that deserves special recognition. You usually end up calling him Hall of Famers.
Yeah, he's on his way to Cooperstown, no doubt. 2 outs, runner at third, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Aledmys Diaz. Next by Kohler, taken high.
Give you a quick story. I remember the first time early on, it was playing against Albert. You get over to first base after a base hit, and I was in a particularly hot spot. Albert says to me, "Man, I'd love for you to play on my team." And I looked at him like, "Dude, you're going to forget about me. You are the Hall of Famer." I remember that to this day. You know, he just said, "Hey, man, you're swinging it really well. You want to come play on my team?" I'm like, "Dude, don't." I'll be talking to you that way for the rest of your life.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in some of those conversations at first base.
At first they're great. Yeah, they usually are great. You know, Sean Casey. I mean, everybody, you hear the stories. The mayor. I mean, you know, some guys yuck it up, some guys don't. I prided myself in trying to get the quiet guys to talk. I enjoyed that. Like the Scotty Rowlands.
Yeah.
Scotty Rowland didn't say 2 words. He just wanted to pick you off. He wanted to do the hidden ball trick and nonsense. But you know, I'd slide into third base or whatever and be like, "Hey, Scotty," and he wouldn't say anything. I'm like, "You're rude." You know, like I'd mess with him. Like the reverse psychology of it, right? You know, Scotty wouldn't say 2 words to anybody. He just would like maybe, if you got this out of him, give me just a little head nod. That was more than most got.
What a great player he was.
Yes, he was.
3-2 pitch to Diaz from Kohler. Lined into left field and a base hit. Hung that breaking ball, and Diaz makes it a 2-1 St. Louis lead.
Third baseman, number 27, Johnny Peralta.
The breaking ball from Tom Kohler right here. Unfortunately, you see it high and sits right out over the plate. Boy, oh boy, 1 pitch away from getting himself through this with a runner on third base. Did such nice work right there, but good swing of the bat by Diaz. We've talked about it. This man continues to hit. You make a mistake, he's going to make you pay.
Brings in Johnny Peralta, struck out back in the first. So the rotation for the Marlins, no particular order. Adam Conley, Tom Kohler, Edinson Volquez. You know, we've heard about Jeff Locke, and he's been dealing with some injuries. Who else is in the battle here for the starting rotation for the Marlins?
Well, I mean, obviously you got Dan Straley. You mentioned Adam Conley, Tom Kohler. Obviously, you see him today. Wei Chen, Edinson Volquez. I mean, this is a talented group. It's not, you know, I'm not going to sell you on, you know, it's all number 1s and number 2s. Most people will tell you, and certainly agree, it's going to be a rotation about going out there and doing your job, maybe on a little bit of a shorter leash. That's the idea. You look at the talent right there. All of these guys are talented. You have some experience. You have a couple, you got Adam Conley. He's a young guy. Dan Straley, he really turned the corner last year with the Cincinnati Reds and had a great season. This has the potential to be good. I don't know if I would dare sell it as great. I think that if these guys stay healthy and go out there and pitch and aren't overexposed, I think there's a there's a real opportunity where that, and I think that's a lot of the conversation with the Miami Marlins is the idea that the bullpen's going to be used a little bit differently, a little bit more. That if you can protect these guys, you're not looking at this saying, okay, this 5 guys give me 200 innings apiece. I think that there's limitations and expectations are different. Now, when it comes to Chen, a little bit more.
The bullpen for Don Mattingly's power arms out there. They had the 4th most strikeouts in baseball and some of the hardest throwers in the game, too.
Well, then you add Zawa and Ziegler, who 83 miles an hour, right. 85 miles an hour, changes speeds, lives outside the strike zone and gets tons of swings and misses. Zawa and the splitty. I mean, this has the potential to be a great bullpen, not to mention you've got depth.
And a walk to Peralta. Second walk by Kohler. Pitch count at 55, so we'll keep an eye on that. Both starters, the talk was, you get around 70, 75 pitches, but both Kohler and Wainwright have been around a long time. Managers many times will say, look, here's the idea. Let's get you to 70, 75, but at this point in spring, if you want to push it a little bit, we're going to leave that up to you.
It also depends on the workload. You see it right now going on this inning. Tom Kohler, this is like a high-stress inning. Gives up the leadoff triple to Martinez, picks up a couple strikeouts, but had to make pitches to get those strikeouts. I mean, again, working the slider and the fastball low zone. Lots of concentration right there. One pitch away with Diaz, gives up the base hit, and then you see the follow-up walk. You can see the emotion playing into this as you start to kind of work your way towards the start of the regular season. Again, it's not just about going out there and me, Tom Kohler giving you a number, 75. Here's my 75 pitches. They're trying to effectively make things happen and find their release points.
I think Scotty on the first pitch pops it foul.
A little bit of a let up, after giving up that base hit to Diaz, because again, he had worked so hard to get himself into that position and unfortunately hangs the slider. And then you see the walk to Peralta right after that. There's hitters, we're emotional people, hitters are. So are the pitchers. That's the thing that's so interesting.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. You're 1 strike away after having a runner at third, nobody out. You get the 2 strikeouts, 1 strike away, and then all of a sudden now the wheels come off, and it's a mental part of it too.
You tell yourself not to let up, but yet somehow you do. And I'm not saying that Tom necessarily did that in that situation, but it's the emotional part of the game that it just factors into every baseball that you throw and every moment that you have. Sometimes when you don't make your pitch, it lasts more than just that pitch. It'll last in the next at bat.
0-2 the count on Piscotty, hitting 143 this spring. And Steven lifts a fly ball out to left field. There's Marcell Ozuna under it and makes the catch. Cardinals strand 2, but they pick up a 2-out base hit from Aledmys Diaz midway through 3, and it's 2-1. National Alliance on Mental Illness and their commitment to improving the lives of families and those living with mental illness. Learn more about how the stigma can be freed. Visit foxsportssupports.com. Todd Hollandsworth of Fox Sports Florida, former Rookie of the Year, won a world championship with the Marlins. I'm Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest. So here is Dee Gordon. Mentioned earlier that Todd was a part of the Cubs pre and post coverage for many, many years. And the motto, the mantra, if you will, for the Cubs with Dexter Fowler, as you go, we go. It's kind of the same thing here with Dee Gordon.
That's a great point you make right there, Dan. I'm glad you brought that up. There's no doubt. I mean, you look at this Marlins team and how talented they are, and then you recognize the talent of Dee Gordon. You realize that he can have that kind of impact. I said to people last year, right after they brought over Dexter Fowler, I said, don't forget Dexter Fowler after they brought over Jason Hayward. I said, don't forget about Dexter Fowler. Like he in some ways kind of became my cause. I wanted people to know how impactful and important he was in 2015. It was so recognizable and worked his way back. People remember the story like he just showed up in spring training, turned down the deal from the Orioles, and ended up signing a one-year deal to go back and play in Chicago one more time. He's like my #1 reason why they won. I mean, he was such a staple atop that lineup. And I think this in our game, and when we see tons of home runs like we did last year in the game, you forget how valuable the leadoff guys are. And it's just so important.
There's a breaking ball and a fly ball lifted into left center. Pham on the move and makes the catch. Nice play by Tommy Pham.
A good swing of the bat by Dee Gordon. Nice run and catch by Tommy Pham right there.
That ball gets down. That's a triple bump.
Oh, it is. And it's a good swing of the bat right there. Dee got the pitch up in the zone and drove it out there, but Tommy Pham got a great jump. You see that right there? As soon as that ball's off the bat, he was off and running, and you see the angle. No wasted steps. Straight to the point of the ball. That's what spring training's about, is learning and teaching yourself the angles and making yourself quicker in the outfield. You don't have to be fast to be good out there. You just got to take good breaks and good angles.
So one out, nobody on. Here's Ichiro. For our fans in St. Louis, tell us about Dexter Fowler. What are we going to learn about him?
If you haven't learned already, he's one of the best. He's an enjoyable young man. He's got a big smile on his face, and he takes every day. Has a lot of fun with it.
Nice play all the way around, but Wainwright apparently not on the bag. As Adams had popped up on the backhand. And safe at first, it's Ichiro.
Very similar to the play in the first inning. Almost as if Adam is past the bag again. Nope, right over the top of it. You see it right there. I bet Adam will tell you, he's a pretty honest guy, that he probably clipped the bag with his spikes. Kind of looks like he did. Well, maybe not. Instant replay not part of it, but again, almost like the first inning. And you know, again, this is the timing of it, right? A little bit of a delayed throw right there, and Adam getting his footwork down there by the bag has cost him a couple of base runners.
Here's Marcell Ozuna. Sac fly and an RBI back in the first inning. Gave the Marlins an early lead, and now the Cardinals have the lead 2-1. Could be two. Peralta, the turn by Wong, and it's a double play. Nicely done. Peralta, Wong to Adams. We played 3. Cardinals on top of the Marlins. It's 2-1.
time to imagine what you can do in a Ford F-150.
Let's crank it on up, yeah, till the sun comes up, yeah. Let me hear you say,
Sir, nice truck, huh?
Whoa.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks. Get 0 for 72 or up to $10,500 total value, plus a no-charge powertrain service plan on F-150.
Along with Todd Hollinsworth of Fox Sports Florida, Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest, and it's 2-1. Cardinals have the lead, and back out there for another inning is Tom Kohler, the starter for Miami.
Tom's done a nice job this afternoon. He's made some big pitches, got himself in a little bit of trouble, but again, this is spring training. Again, you see the process, you see the work, you see the sharpness on his breaking ball. Yeah, sure, he's lost a couple sliders, but his fastballs look good. He's had some strikeouts today. Good signs.
Right now, the Marlins, second longest in baseball in terms of a postseason drought, and that's at 13 seasons. The Mariners are at 15, and a lot of it depends if they can stay healthy, get Stanton in there for 150 games. Could be a fun team to watch.
Well, I mean, let me offer this up to you. Would you rather have a team? It's a great question. You know, the Atlanta Braves went 13 years. I think it was, what, 13 straight National League East pennants, and they won 1 World Series. I know the Marlins been to the playoffs twice. They're the only team in baseball, and I can guarantee you the answer. They've never lost a postseason series.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's unbelievable, no doubt about it. Most people tell you they want the consistency, and I agree. It really does. I mean, that's just it. Yeah, you don't want to be visiting the postseason once every 13 years or so. So, yeah, I mean, they're moving in the right direction. I mean, again, so much of what you look at around here tells you this is a good enough team to get it done. But they do have to stay healthy, and they do have to stay consistent.
A strike to Randall Grichuk, 2 balls and 1 strike. It's Grichuk, Adams, who is homered, and Colton Wong against Kohler here in the top of the 4th. You were part of the Marlins championship team in 2003. Pretty famous Game 6 at Wrigley Field. Steve Bartman game.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard about it.
Well, I don't want to wander down this path too much, but I mean, you could tie this whole thing together. Remember, who have I been working for the last 8 years, right?
So I mean,
right. I mean, it's very, very interesting, right? Dynamic. And, you know, the great thing about getting to work and be here with Fox Sports and with the Miami Marlins is I actually get to wear my World Series ring now. I mean, I've worn it like twice in 10 years because of where I lived. And, you know, my beautiful wife, Marcy, being from Champaign and from the Chicago area, we were raising our family there and, you know, kind of had settled there. And I never get to wear my ring, man. And people tell me all the time, yeah, thanks for not wearing your ring. It's just a constant reminder. And I'm like, yeah, that's ridiculous. I never get to. So now I get to wear it all the time. I'm thrilled.
You've earned it.
Yeah.
3-2 pitch to Grichuk. Popped up to the right side. Bore is over, and it's out of play. It was a good team you were part of, too. And you got hot at the right time, but you had Josh Beckett who carried you, but there's some big names on that team, too.
Well, and I was thinking back to, you know, your question, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about Dexter Fowler, the new St. Louis Cardinal. What a tremendous player and great person that he is, and we'll get to that. But you know, you think back to Juan Pierre and Louis Castillo. Exactly. We had at the top of our lineup. We've already talked about D. Gordon and what St. Louis Cardinals now have. I mean, they recognize his value. And what Dexter Fowler was doing for the Cubs and what they hope he will do for the St. Louis Cardinals. He wears down pitchers. He takes pitches. He takes his walks, as I was telling you before the game today. He'll go as 1 for 3 with a double and an RBI and score a couple of runs. I mean, he, interestingly enough, and I don't know, maybe he was a byproduct of the team he was playing on because there's so many stars, sometimes gets overlooked. And you know, the amazing part about last year, he had an on-base percentage near 400. I mean, think about that in front of the Chris Bryants and the Anthony Rizzos. St. Louis Cardinal fans, you should be thrilled. He is in the prime of his career. He's having a great spring. It's only leading to good things.
There's a breaking ball taken high by Adams. Adams with a home run back in the 2nd.
Well, let me ask you this question, Dan. I think it's fair to say that he may prove to be the single greatest, you know, player in this, you know, Cubs-Cardinals rivalry. Like, if the Cardinals go out and win this year,
there's a base hit into right field.
Dexter Fowler's going to get a lot of credit for that.
And sliding for it was Sierra. Look at Grichuk motoring to the plate, and he will score. Big day already for Matt Adams, a double, and that drives in Grichuk, who was motoring around the bases to score the 3rd run for St. Louis.
Yeah, you recognize some of the athleticism that we were talking about. This is a great display of what we're talking about. Matt Adams gets a pitch he can handle right there. Out over the plate, inside just a little bit, rips it into right. He's thinking double all the way as Grichuk comes around second base. This was just recognizing, and then again, Sierra loses his foot out here just a little bit. As he comes up, Grichuk never stops. That's what Mike Matheny's looking for right there. As a third base coach, you're bringing a guy into third, run, 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 run until I stop you. He never let up right there. That's why he scored that run.
So walk, and now the double, and it brings in Colton Long. There's strike one. Back to your point about Fowler. You know, I've been saying, yeah, he's a very nice addition, exactly what the Cardinals needed, but don't overlook the fact of what he's left behind. I mean, that's a gap in that lineup, right, in that clubhouse. You know, there's something that you take away from the Cubs.
Well, and that was my point, exactly my point. I'm glad you kind of clarified that, because again, that's it. You subtract from one and you add to another, and it's not as simple as just saying, okay, we're going to add, okay, another guy that's going to put a 4. I mean, they're talking. You know, who's going to lead off for the Chicago Cubs right now? I mean, it's an interesting question, and I know that there's some interesting ideas that are out there for them. But you look at St. Louis, you know what the answer is. It's Dexter Fowler. He's been doing it. He's been doing it his entire career, and he's been doing very successfully. And oh, by the way, he's a pretty good defender too.
And a pretty good guy.
And he's always smiling. I'm telling you right there. I tell him this all the time. I said, I don't care how great you play. You bring that smile to the yard every day. You're going to rub off on your teammates, and your teammates are going to back that up. I mean, you show an appreciation and love for this game. Usually, this game, it'll wear you out, man. It wipes that smile off. You get to about 140, you're like, just walking around like a zombie. He showed, I mean, literally every day, hey, man, what's going on? Always said hi to me, and it was just like ready to play constantly, and it rubs off on your teammates.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Right-hander throwing right now in the Miami bullpen. Long struck out his first time up. It's the right-hander Atkins. Here's a 1-2 pitch in the dirt. Pitch count now at 71 for Kohler. We've seen a few of these pitches get up, so that's usually a telltale sign he's wearing down just a bit.
He's worked hard today, and in a good way. I mean, again, there's some things that you'd say, okay, maybe he lost a hitter here or hung a pitch here. I mean, there's no doubt that that's happened, but again, he's made some pitches. What I'm looking for right now is the effectiveness of the pitches, and I think the real test today is you talked about the number climbing to 70. It's the effectiveness of the pitch 50 through, say, 75, and I think that's what you're watching right now. He's starting to work his way through this and run out of bullets.
The 2-2 pitch. And I think it's something that's overlooked, but you touched upon it, and you're exactly right. Not all innings are created equal. So, you look at the inning in which, he is 1 strike away from getting out of a jam that had a runner at third and nobody out. That's high leverage. Those are different than dealing with nobody on.
Even in spring training, they're high leverage.
Absolutely.
That's the point, and that's what people at home, as you're watching the game, I mean, you realize that they feel the same press and the same stress. That's why I talk about it. It's so amazing to me, the WBC, all the passion, everything that you see there. It's so amazing. Like I look at Team USA, and it's like these guys are being asked to perform at like playoff caliber baseball 3 weeks before the season starts, and creating that intensity. But what ends up happening is that the intensity exists in your mind, but you want it to be part of your hand-eye coordination, your footwork and your skill set that's, out there playing competitive baseball in front of a national audience. And that's not easy to always do. And, you're trying to do that out here, and you talk about the dog days of spring training. Yes, they do exist, but every day here matters because there's something to be gained for what April 3 is going to be all about.
3-2 the count on Colton Long. And he's hit by the pitch. Something not foreign to him. He's usually among the leaders in hit by pitch for the Cardinals. And that'll be it for Tom Kohler. A walk, a double, hit by pitch, and Don Mattingly is going to make the move. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Atkins coming on when we come back. The Cardinals lead the Marlins by the score of 3-1.
I'm happy, and this is spring training. I mean, again, your bottom line, 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. You'd say, well, you know, am I expecting more? I'm not. I'm looking for results. Personally, 75 pitches. He made pitches when he had to in a couple of key spots. He'll tell you he missed a few pitches. He hung a slider or two. There's no doubt about that. But I think all in all, a pretty productive day. I like those 5 strikeouts, no doubt about it. But a good day's work.
Here's Hunter Atkins. He is an undrafted pickup by Miami, added to their roster today. And the first pitch is low and outside to Jose Martinez, who tripled and scored back in the 3rd.
2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball, and a slider. Good live arm. Solid season last year in the minor leagues. Pretty solid anyway.
Runners at first and second. Outfield is straight away. When you talk about consistency, that has been the case for the most part under Mike Matheny, who's done a really nice job with this organization. This will be his 6 years as manager of the Cardinals. His 1-loss record since 2012, the best in baseball. And that, I think, from a national level, gets overlooked. He's done a really nice job with this club. Maybe he doesn't get the respect he deserves.
In my lifetime, I've grown to expect the Cardinals to win under all circumstances.
Really?
Well, absolutely, as a former player. I mean, there was only a short period there, I think I want to say late 90s, where it was down a little bit. But for the most part, I mean, year in and year out, no matter, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but no matter who they marched out there, the idea was they're being led, they're being run the right way, they're being managed the right way, and they don't beat themselves. And I think the last thing that I said right there is such a key ingredient to Major League Baseball, because most teams usually get to the end, and if it's a season that doesn't go your way, you say to yourself, well, in some ways we beat ourselves because we didn't play good defense, or our starting pitching didn't hold up the way we thought it would hold up. Like, the Cardinals don't find themselves in those positions. They find the Band-Aids, and they always give themselves a chance. And I guess that's maybe the right way to put it, is that they're always right there. I mean, I don't know if this season is going to turn into a World Series winner for the St. Louis Cardinals, but here's one thing I can guarantee you. They're going to play good baseball this year, and they're going to be relevant all season long.
And they should be a wild card or division winner.
Yeah, it's very real, very possible. I mean, and then that's my point.
And as you know quite well, once you're in, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
I mean, it's so cliche, but now in this day and age in baseball, getting through 3 rounds, that's really the way it is.
What was our last repeat winners, World Series winners? I hope I'm not messing this up. It's the Yankees, right? In late 90s?
Yeah.
It's last. I mean, what does that tell you?
Parity in the game.
Yeah, better believe it.
3-2 pitch now to Jose Martinez. Martinez, a base hit into left. Adams held up at 3rd, and the bases will be loaded. So the first 4 have reached for the Cardinals here in the top of the 4th. And Martinez is 2 for 2. I mean, to me, Jose Martinez is a good example of what the Cardinals are about. They find guys somehow, some way, right?
And good piece of hitting right here. Pick on a fastball, a little out over the plate. Not a bad pitch, just above the knees, but not as much movement as he was looking for. Atkins able to rip it in the left field for a base hit.
Here's Fryer, who came up with a runner at 3rd, nobody out, back in the 3rd, and struck out. Eric Fryer was the backup for the Cardinals coming out of spring training last year. Then was in the short end of a numbers game for the Cardinals, and then picked up by Pittsburgh, and now back with St. Louis. He is from Mike Matheny's hometown. Those two actually met at a get-together in the hometown, and Fryer is known for his glove, and I think he surprised a lot of people with his bat. He was very serviceable. 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2.
Yeah, I hate to be cliche, but I think we've already witnessed it an awful lot today, so it's certainly worth mentioning. You know, you just watch the pitching when it's commanding the low zone. The pitches are being made and the hitters are swinging and missing an awful lot, including Fryer right here. He's seen a few pitches his last 2 at-bats at the bottom of that zone where he's really struggled with it. Pham struggled a little bit. I mean, it's very obvious. But there have also been pitches up in the zone that have been hit hard.
Sierra with the catch. Not deep enough to score Adams, and that's the first out. Are you a proponent? I mean, there's a lot of new rules and issues that are being bantied about right now with Major League Baseball, but do you think the strike zone should be raised?
Well, I do. I think it should be at the knees and above. I don't think it should be that inch, where we talk about, it's the part of the line. The top of the baseball catches the last half inch of the bottom of the strike zone, meaning the entire ball is below the knee. I don't like that. I never did. It was always something I dealt with. But again, this is coming from somebody, Dan, who stood very upright in the box. Right. I wasn't a crouch hitter. I was a very tall hitter. So, pitches down there, I was actually a high ball hitter. So to answer your question is,
for you, it would be good.
Right. I'm trying to be, realistic here, diplomatic, right? But my strike zone, the ball needs to be up. Honestly, I was kind of more about the, the belt to the letters.
Right.
But you hear a lot of hitters complain about that an awful lot, especially since it's been very liberal down at the bottom of the zone over the last few seasons.
Here's Tommy Pham, nothing at 2.
I think
that struck out twice.
That's what ultimately frustrates most hitters, is the fact that when the zone expands down, it just frustrates the daylights out of hitters, because it's already the toughest pitch. Even at the knees, it's the toughest pitch to hit. Most hitters will tell you a fastball away at the knees is easily the most difficult thing to hit.
That's in the dirt, kept in front. Catcher for the Marlins today, Tomas Telis. He's one of their top prospects. Very good defensively. We've seen that.
Telis has been outstanding all afternoon long. Here we are in the 4th inning. I mean, 10 pitches in the dirt today.
Probably.
I mean, at least Kohler has had no issue bouncing pitches, trying to get the swing and the miss right there. And a big part of that is he's done such a fantastic job behind home plate.
1-2 pitch. Pham up the middle. Base hit. 2 runs will score, and Tommy Pham has his first hit of the afternoon, and that scores 2. And we'll close the book on the starter today, Kohler.
Nice piece of 2-strike hitting right there by Pham. Shorten up, put the ball in play. You see it right there. He was down in the count, but again, got something he could get the bat on and put the ball in play. I mean, that is the key. You hear managers talk about this all the time. These run-scoring situations, runners on third, less than 2 outs, the ability to put the ball in play the right way. Not just put the ball in play, but put the ball in play the right way. In that situation right there, just looking for contact.
Here is Aledmys Diaz for St. Louis. Check that, it'll be Paul DeJong. He's really opened up some eyes in this camp. Ball jumps off his bat. He has shifted from third base to shortstop for the Cardinals and is penciled in at probably the starting shortstop at Memphis. You hear all the time, and you did MLB Network Radio for many years. So you guys talked about a lot of things.
Oh.
You had a lot of time to fill.
Yes, we did. 5 days a week, no doubt.
One of the things that you always hear about is exit velocity off the bat. I personally like that. I think it's something that you really can get a better idea about a player. And the Cardinals rave about exit velocity with Paul DeJong. Like that. Hard hit to short. Double play ball, 6-4-3. The Cardinals add to their lead with 3 here in the top of the 4th. And it's a 5-1 St. Louis lead over Miami.
Come on.
Your local St. Louis Hyundai dealers. Better Drive Us. By Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Reminder that we have our Hall of Fame selection at cardinals.com/HOF. Be a part of the fan voting process. It's a 7-man ballot. Just head to cardinals.com/HOF. Presented by Edward Jones. Adam Wainwright, 4th inning of work for St. Louis. Todd Hollandsworth of Fox Sports Florida alongside. I'm Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest. I was looking at the numbers. You faced Adam Wainwright twice in your career.
And two at bats?
2 at bats.
Didn't do anything, did I?
Yeah, you were 0 for 2. I didn't want to bring that part up. I just wanted to bring the fact up that you've been in the box against him.
I vaguely remember. I think there was one. I remember a start. So Adam, I think it was my last year. I was with the Cleveland Indians. I remember he threw me a cutter. Now, of course, he was throwing much harder then than he is, today. I mean, obviously, this was like 1,000 years ago. Adam's the old guy now, right around here. Right. This is the old guy talking. He threw a cutter inside about 92, 93, and I just missed it. I think I might have got it. This was in St. Louis out to the warning track, and I think the next time he just chewed me up and spit me out.
Yeah,
it wasn't pretty.
Cutter's become a very good pitch for him over the years. There it is right there. And so has his breaking ball. And really, that's been the pitch that's defined his career. The true 12. Just imagine a clock, the 12 to 6. When we talk about that, that's what he's got. That pitch is a strike to Justin Bour.
Well, in a lot of ways, is it fair to say, I mean, I guess maybe this is a hitter who faced him, or I should say faced the guy that was before him. See, like, I more identify with Chris Carpenter.
Sure.
And so Chris Carpenter in the transition to Adam Wainwright, is that a fair comparison?
Absolutely.
I think so, right?
Absolutely.
And, so I had a little bit more experience against Carpenter, and I saw the same thing, almost in stature. I mean, both guys are very tall, very long arms, good extension from the mound. Obviously very aggressive, don't like to walk hitters, good arsenal of pitches. I mean, very, very similar.
A walk to Bour. He's walked twice today. Take a look at the Wainwright breaking ball, and he has talked about changing the grip and the feel of the breaking ball, and we were talking about it before the game. It was something that he did with MLB Network. He grabbed a baseball, was in his condo or house here in Florida, and started flipping the ball, just the breaking ball and the feel of it, to his wife. They're just hanging out. He grabs a baseball, starts flipping it, and he said he figured out he's got a better feel for that, and that the side-by-side we showed you, that was 2013 and then last year.
Well, in 2013 is what he's trying to get back to. And again, in that instance, and sometimes you hear people talk about it. I know Al Leiter, I've heard him talk about this an awful lot, and I think that's actually who he did the interview with in 2013, is how he's just a little bit on the outside of that seam right there. It almost appears that his fingers are on the outside of the baseball, which is slightly untraditional because in a lot of ways, if you don't finish the pitch, it'll roll out of your hand. You talk about getting around a slider or what we were calling a cutter right here in that situation. You see 2016, he's actually a little bit more behind the ball, but now he wants more movement. So again, in the position that he's in, getting back to that 2013 form should, for him, it won't have the same velocity, but it'll have more movement.
Adeiny Echeverria at the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wainwright not one to walk many. He has walked 2 here today. Echeverria double back in the first. Is it fair to say that if you get offense from Adeiny, it's a bonus, but you just love to see him play every day with his glove?
I'm going to say no. I think there's a lot of talent in this young man. I don't see it as a bonus. I think there should be some built-in expectation, because a couple of years ago he had a heck of a season, and I think he's certainly capable of doing that again. I don't know if he'll always be a high on-base percentage guy, but bat to ball, he found the barrel a couple seasons ago an awful lot and put up a pretty decent offensive season. And I think at least, drawing the line and saying, okay, that's the minimum, that would be fair to say. Last year, it's definitely got to be better than last year. So to your point, I don't think he's that type of shortstop. I think he's a great defensive shortstop that will be good offensively. I don't think he'll necessarily be great, but he's got to at least be good.
Here's Youngel under the force play at second. Echeverria beat it out at first. And the Marlins third baseman struck out his first time up. Everyday third baseman, and there's that good breaking ball, will be Martin Prado. So here's the breaking ball with the movement.
There it is. That's the movement that we're talking about. And how about this? The willingness to throw it early in the count. That's very untraditional here, even for spring training, but it does explain what Adam Wainwright is really all about, and what he's working on down here in spring training is being diverse. If he can become that pitcher who can throw any pitch at any time, it becomes an asset to his arsenal, obviously. If you're throwing 90 miles an hour, but you don't know when 90 is coming, it'll look like 92, 93, so it gains effectiveness.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. What about, and you've had spring trainings in Arizona and in Florida, you know, the guys that throw that cutter, guys that throw a breaking ball, you'll see that, and it works, and it seems to play here in Florida, but it doesn't when you're in Arizona.
No, it's, you know, Arizona, Arizona, you can get away. You know, and I always had an appreciation for Florida because I thought it got you more ready for the season because it would, to your point, what you're going to see.
Exactly.
Out in Arizona. I mean, it was my last spring training with 05, last spring training, I think, with the Chicago Cubs, and I had a miserable spring training. I had a hard time finding the barrel. I was hitting 400. I mean, everybody. I remember going to Gene Klein's at the time, and telling him, "Listen, man, we got a week to go. You got to get my swing right, man. I'm just not barreling up the right way right now. I'm hitting that barrel, but I'm hitting it on an angle. The ball's coming off funny. What am I doing? What do you see?"
Hit and run to perfection.
Beautiful.
Tough pitch to handle, and somehow guides that into right. Echeverria on his way to third.
Nice piece of hitting right there, but to finish the point, you get away with it in Arizona. Down here, you don't. I mean, you got to hit. If you're hitting and you're hitting 400 down here, you've earned it. In Arizona, there's definitely a little bit more freedom. The ball flies, especially this time of year. The cooler temperatures in Arizona, it's not piping hot. The ball jumps.
Now it's Moises Sierra. Sierra struck out his first time up. No activity in the Cardinals pen. Wainwright at 51 pitches. Some dark clouds moving in overhead. We are expecting rain at some point today, and a lot of rain apparently coming in tomorrow. It's cooled off a little bit here at the ballpark too, and you're right. More times than not, 2 o'clock in Florida, it's piping hot.
Yeah.
Here's a 1-0 pitch.
We used to say it's always raining somewhere in Florida. It's just so hot. I mean, it's just, you know, you can feel the pressure. It's almost like a pressure cooker when the temperatures get so warm and then it releases and the rain finally comes, and you always got your games in. I don't think we had many rain because the rains here come and go. They don't, you know, it's not, you don't have rainy days. They're very, very few and far between.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Now 1-2. Marlins Park opened up in 2012. This will be the first time that Miami has ever hosted the All-Star game, and I know the folks around that organization are pumped to have the Midsummer Classic at Marlins Park.
I think it's going to be a real exciting time. I thought there was a great example last night. I mean, we saw the game, the WBC game, U.S. and Dominican Republic, packed house. I mean, just
largest crowd ever for a baseball game
ever. I mean, it shows you the potential in South Florida of what can be. It is a baseball hotbed. The fans of South Florida love the game of baseball. I think having the All-Star game in Marlins Park, let me tell you something, what a beautiful building. So I think it's the perfect place. It's the perfect time, and if this team's doing their thing, I think there's a good team, you know, a good way to maybe even showcase some of these stars. You know, I keep hearing, you know, over the last few days, like Christian Yelich is kind of having his coming out party here at the WBC, and I'm like, what, have you not been paying attention? Christian Yelich has been great for a couple seasons now. So
here's that breaking ball again, Todd.
Well, he continues to work on it and continues to pitch it effectively. You see it right there. The key to pitching, get the ball to trigger the red zone, you know, the red zone reaction to a hitter. I'm going to go after that pitch and then get it to explode out of the zone. Adam Wainwright, he's been doing that for a long time. That's the breaking ball. You see it really good as a hitter. You go after it like it's a very hittable pitch, and you find out it's at your shoe tops by the time it's all done.
Tomas Talis grounded out to short first time up. You could see this inning, he's getting a better feel for that curveball.
The consistency of it, he's getting to throw it a few times, and that's he'd probably tell you, I was thrilled to have runners on first and third because it gave me an opportunity to work on that breaking pitch a little bit more consistently. You know, you don't just do it with nobody on, nobody out, and go out there and throw breaking ball after breaking ball.
1 ball and 1 strike. More than likely, this will be the final inning of work for Wainwright. Approaching 60 pitches. Right-hander starts to throw in the Cardinals' pen. Left-hander throwing for Miami in their bullpen. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Slapped the other way, and that's pretty well hit. Tailing. Oh, what a play. Randall Grichuk. Outstanding play. Randall Grichuk shifting from center to left. A nice play. 5-1 as we head to the 5th. Earlier in the telecast to the bullpen of Miami, Brad Ziegler, who's a sidewinder and a guy that has roots from Missouri, went to Odessa High School in Missouri, then at the time Southwest Missouri State, now known as Missouri State, and we'll see him in the back end of games for Miami this year.
Well, Ziegler, boy, oh boy, he's I call guys like this a little bit of a magician. He throws from underneath. He's a different arm angle. He's not going to overwhelm you with velocity, but he makes pitches. He throws the ball right around the plate is kind of how he works, and gets a lot of swings and misses. Can also close for you. You see it right there out of the gate. Johnny Peralta gone fishing on a pitch out of the zone.
Used to be a traditional thrower over the top, and then things weren't working out. Tried to figure out a way to stay in the game of baseball, and you'll do anything you can, and he developed this motion.
Yeah, well, it's worked for him. And for guys who pitch from underneath, as we would call it, submarine style, you know, typically you see guys, you know, there's some velocity and it's a two-seamer. You know, with Ziegler, you're watching it, it's almost like he's steering the baseball right now. He's throwing two pitches. The first two pitches almost look like changeups. The bottom's dropping out of it. It starts at the bottom of the zone, ends up in the dirt. He throws a slider right there that explodes out of the zone. You're like, how does he get this kind of movement with that arm angle?
1-2 the count on Johnny Peralta. You can see how tough he would be against right-handed batters. Guys just give up on it, and all of a sudden it's in the zone as Peralta pops it up, and that's out number 1.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and label that one the Frisbee right there. That's what he threw him right there. I bet that was probably about 82 miles an hour tops. Little spinner kind of backed up right there, and Johnny Peralta fooled by the velocity or lack of.
Ziegler began his career with Oakland, and he started out with 39 consecutive innings without allowing a run.
Right.
Here's Stephen Piscotty.
Well, he's the definition, Dan, of bad contact, and we talk about that an awful lot in today's day and age with sabermetrics and different things. You know, we love the strikeout. We haven't lost our love affair with the strikeout, but the reality is bad contact is just as important, and understanding that he gets as much bad contact as anybody in the game of baseball.
Explain that a little bit more. I mean, so you put the ball in play, but bad contact would be, give an example.
Off the barrel. I mean, it's not off the barrel. I mean, literally not the barrel. So understanding, like a ball that you just saw Johnny Peralta, he hit that ball off the end of the bat. It was a weak pop up to the infield, or a weak hit ground ball that has, as you said, no exit velocity. You see it again right there. Piscotty way out on his front foot, totally fooled by the pitch, creates weak contact. Weak contact, 99.9% of the time finds the glove, as it should. That weak pop up right there, that's not a ball that falls in. it's soft. It's in the air for a long time. The second baseman could have caught it. The right fielder could have caught it. He gets a lot of this contact right there. See that weight all out on his front foot. Now, traditionally, if you throw him that pitch and he's on his backside, he'll drive that ball. But he's fooled and deceived by the lack of velocity.
And a guy like this, too, lack of velocity with all the hard throwers, Eric Claw, right. Ramos, and some of the others. Here it is again to Randall Grichuk. You know, you just don't see this anymore because scouts aren't looking at this. Scouts are looking at 6'5" and throwing 95 plus. So it's a different look, too.
He's breaking the rules by all definition, right? In today's game, this, I mean, Ziegler would tell you, I just signed a new $16 million deal, but I bet you I wouldn't get drafted.
Right.
Pretty amazing when you think about it, right?
It really is. 2 years, $16 million.
Right. Well, I mean, teams are lining up for his services, but if you were to throw him in the draft as a 22-year-old, he doesn't get drafted.
Right. Here's a 1-1. And again, Grichuk a little bit out in front. You just see these guys. It's almost below the hitting zone. The speed that you're used to seeing.
It fools them on the other side, right? It's just it. Not many guys are willing to find out if they can survive there. But you see, weight transfer is so imperative to a swing. You've got to be able to control it in your balance, typically on your back leg, and we talk percentages all the time. If you get hitters out on their front legs, you're going to get a lot of that.
Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Brad Ziegler, year 1 of a 2-year deal with the Marlins. Is brought to you in part by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Buy Steak and Shake, 24 meals under $4. And by Toyota, let's go places. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals and Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals or the Miami Marlins. Todd Hollinsworth of Fox Sports Florida alongside. I'm Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest. And wherever you may be, we hope you're enjoying some spring training baseball. This is Lucas. This young man is a closer in the Cardinals minor league system, coming off a pretty good year. There's Chevy called to the pen. And he will get Ramon Cabrera. First pitch by Josh Lucas is a strike at the knees. It's 5-1 St. Louis in the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, we talk about these positions young players find themselves in spring training. We say, who is spring training really for? Well, as a young player, these are the opportunities you get to showcase yourself to your manager. Even if you don't make that opening day roster, you want to be the answer. You want to say, all right, listen, I'm going to showcase myself here in spring. I want Mike Matheny thinking, where's Lucas? We got to get him up here. We got to deal with something right here. I want this guy to be my answer. This is where you earn that as a young player.
Tommy John surgery, missed all of 2012, and that's fought off and out of play. Last season, career high 45 relief appearances, pitched at AA and AAA. Texas League All-Star, North squad. And he's still in camp. He's got a high number, but still in camp. So still a chance to make that impression.
There's something about those high numbers, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. day I finally got I remember in Dodger camp, I finally got 28. When I first got it, it was like 109. They're like, hey, you got 3 numbers on your back. I said, yeah, that's pretty much where I go get Darryl Strawberry's backpack. You're going to carry it to the field. Okay, sir.
Darryl Strawberry's now living just outside St. Louis.
Really?
He is. Yeah.
I was his caddy.
Well, when you're a young guy,
that's what I did.
That's what you do.
Caddy. I was his caddy in Dodger camp in Vero Beach in Dodger Town.
The 2-2. Breaking ball, grounded to first. Adams flips to Lucas for the out. Adam Wainwright goes 4 innings today for the St. Louis Cardinals, gives up a run, and now it's Lucas here in inning number 5. Yeah, I guess the idea would be let's try to drop the numbers every year on the back.
He's got to get to a number that matters, really, is what it comes down to.
It's also nice to have your name on the back. We've seen a couple of guys that are called into these games from the backfields in the minor leagues. Don't quite know who they are.
No name, no number.
There's D. Gordon back to the top of the lineup. 2 years ago, D. Gordon, just an incredible season. Batting championship, Gold Glove, stolen base title. Here's a 1-0. Ground ball that's hit to second. Colton Wong to Adams, 2 down. And it brings in Ichiro Suzuki.
And that's one thing I am real excited about this year. And you had mentioned Ichiro in playing time this year, and I told you about the importance of Ozuna being out there every day, and Yelich and Stanton as well. I am still privileged to get to watch him every day and even just watch him work. I am very, very excited to be part of this Marlins broadcast in a lot of ways, because I get to watch a guy like Ichiro, who to me is the epitome of a baseball player. I mean, I don't think people realize this. I mean, this guy's got so much power for the size of frame that he's got. I mean, back I remember, I think it was maybe his second or third to last year in Seattle. It's going way back. They said, oh, you need to hit for a little bit more power. It was kind of towards that, that PED era or whatever. Things kind of in the game were a little off, and guys were hitting, everybody was hitting for power at the time. And I remember Ichiro started turning on the ball and started driving the ball. He was back-legging, as we said, just a little bit more. And it was so interesting to me because he kind of had changed his game to kind of incorporate, a little bit more power and the ability to do it. And now, I mean, certainly it's part of his game, but he's kind of back to being that slasher and that impact player that can put the ball in play all the time and do some different things.
Grounds out to first. 1-2-3 inning for Lucas. 5-1 as we head to the 6th.
Kamal Russell makes his PBC debut. Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on FS1.
You play with me if you want to.
Let's play. You love me. You always will love me.
What they call you, Cooshes?
Cooshes. Sounds like a damn STD.
The spring premiere of Empire, March 22nd on Fox.
Brian Ellington is the new pitcher for the Miami Marlins. What is a very nice day here at Roger Dean Stadium.
Keep that rainstorm out there in left field away.
It's been brewing, it looks like, out there, too.
I tell you what, it's lowered the temperature. The humidity's definitely gone down. Going on past on through and lower the temperature. I don't think any of us would complain with that. It's been a little sticky today, but beautiful, as you said.
Here's Matt Adams, a home run and an RBI double today, 2 for 2, and the shift is on. Adams has talked about beginning about this time last year, especially with pronounced shifts like this. He said, look, I'm a power hitter. I get it. I know it. But if they're giving me this much side of the infield, why wouldn't I drop down a bunt? And he said he picked that up watching Anthony Rizzo as the two see each other so much in the regular season. Rizzo would do that time and again in regular season play, just keep people honest.
Right. Well, in the situation, I mean, you know, a line drive base hit to right center field is the equivalent of a drop down bunt to the left side. I mean, it's the same thing, especially when you're leading off an inning. Makes all the sense in the world. I've said it for years. I mean, when the overshifting started a couple of years ago, I said, overshift all you want. If the hitters are willing to take what they, I mean, Reggie Smith, my first big league hitting coach,
Reggie Smith.
Take what they give you, right? I mean, if they're going to do it, I mean, the shifting's been around forever. Maybe not as extreme as it is today, obviously. But the point is understand and recognize. He used to tell us all the time, look and see where they're playing you before you step foot in the box. They're sending you a message.
And 4 straight from Ellington and a walk to Adams on base for the 3rd time.
Adams really in a groove right now. I think that home run yesterday kind of got him going. I mean, it's clear that he is now seeing the ball with a lot of confidence. I mean, the ball off the bat today, holy cow, the home run to center field, the line drive base hit to right. Real nice day for Mr. Adams right there.
Chad Huffman will be the pinch runner for Adams. His day is through.
Yeah, what is Matt Adams' role on this team?
It's a great question. You know, with the shift of Carpenter now to being the everyday first baseman, Adams, you know, is going to see time at first base. Might be their best defensive first baseman, which gets overlooked. The versatility of Carpenter would allow him to potentially get more at bats. But Matt Adams is primarily going to come off the bench, and he was arguably their best pinch hitter a year ago because of things like this.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask you, great swing of the bat right there. Stays through a fastball away, a little two-seamer, and drives it out. And then you get a fastball up in the zone. Again, even the fastball yesterday was in on his hands, and he kept his hands through, got extended to hit a long fly ball to right field. Really in a great spot right now and seeing the ball. I'm just curious, like, what does a great spring training for him mean? Does it mean the opportunity for a trade, or is it more along the lines of you've earned your spot on our bench?
And I think it's the bench right now. You know, he's, again, 3 pinch hit home runs last year. Hit close to 400 off the bench.
Right.
He'd be one of your first options off the bench for Mike Matheny's club. And his future might, you know, be in line with some of the other guys around the infield. Johnny Peralta's in the final year of his deal. Carpenter can play 3rd. Carpenter can play 2nd. You know, so as other guys,
he's the versatile one. I mean, you just wonder, like, does Adams, you know, can he play the outfield? And you know, the thing about it is, it's like, you know, you see him, like I've seen him now over the last couple days, and I'm like,
got to play, right?
The man needs to be on the field.
Exactly.
Right? He's not coming off the field, and it's like, so where does he play?
Yeah.
Because when this happens, when this situation happens, and I think this is going to be a bit of a challenge for Mike Matheny, if in fact, you know, Adams, who last year still kind of had first base as an option, Matt Carpenter is an everyday answer. I mean, he's not, you know, I mean, unless you're willing to move Matt around the infield, meaning Matt Carpenter, not Matt Adams. You know, Matt Adams is kind of locked into first base. So, I mean, how is that actually going to go? If he gets hot like this, you get to the end of spring training, he goes on a tear. What are you going to do?
Colt Long last year at one point was sent down to the minor leagues. Carpenter was playing second base. You know, it also ties in a little bit to Jed Jerko. You know, Jed Jerko, here's a guy that has 30 home runs and doesn't have a position. I mean, think about that. You hit 30 bombs and you don't have an everyday spot the following year. 3-2 pitch now to Wong. Huffman is leaning at first, now running, and Wong hits a fly ball out of play.
Nice job by Ellington, who's been struggling a little bit with his command here early, making pitches, kind of working his way back into this count and finding the fastball right there, getting a little two-seam action away. Important to not get himself in any more trouble right here. Wants to make a pitch.
Put it this way, it's good to force the hand of your manager, right?
Right. No,
have more
I understand that. But again, I guess the reason the question's in my mind is, what is he actually fighting for? I know that he would tell you, I'm just going out there trying to put up good at-bats and do my job. I mean, it's a very typical answer for a big leaguer in the spring.
Here's a double play. Potentially. The strikeout and throw him out. He held on. Echeverria, known for his glove, holds on. Nicely done.
Strike him out, throw him out, double play. As you said, nicely done right there. Able to secure that short hop right there and get the tag down. You see a lot of infielders nowadays really kind of struggling to kind of get in there and make the play. I saw this an awful lot last year. Guys who would not put that glove in there, kind of hoping to maybe get the phantom. My day and age, yeah, you got the phantom tag. Nowadays, you don't get it anymore.
Now with replay.
You've got instant replay that's lurking right over your shoulder. And that sense is right there. You catch the ball in front of the bag, you better get that glove right there in front of it as the slide comes in and put the tag on him, or you will not get that out.
Here's Jose Martinez with 2 outs and nobody on. Martinez is 2 for 2 with a triple and a single. I asked Mike Matheny the other day, one of the new rules is that a manager has 30 seconds to decide as to whether or not they want to challenge. And I said, do you know when that starts? And he said, no. He said, it's really a gray area for a lot of us because we're unsure. Don Mattingly is going to have to deal with it. He said, we're going to put up a clock, though, in our replay room. And when we're around 30 seconds, hopefully our guys will tell us thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, I think in a lot of ways you have to put that pressure on other people, not your manager, to know that time.
Catch made by Ozuna off the bat of Martinez midway through 6. 5-1 St. Louis.
The students get to run everything.
'67 World Series Championship Club, 30th anniversary of the NL pennant winning club, 1987, and they're celebrating with replica ring promotions. Those wearable rings are available for you. Get your tickets now through the 5-game ring pack or as a single game ticket on sale at Cardinals.com. And the start of the road. Look at the Cardinals and what they have in that first month. Be intriguing to see the Yankees for Cardinal fans, and first time seeing Matt Holliday wearing pinstripes as the Yankees will host the Cardinals early on, and will open up with Sunday Night Baseball against the Chicago Cubs. Chevy called to the bullpen. It is 23-year-old Luke Weaver, made his major league debut a season ago and made his debut at Wrigley Field against the Chicago Cubs. Went 1-4. 8 starts, 9 total appearances. There were 9 different Cardinals last year that made their debut. 7 of those 9 were pitchers. And Luke got his taste of the big leagues last year. Was hurt for just a little bit the last couple of weeks. And he's greeted with a fly ball off the bat of Marcell Ozuna. And it's gone. 1 pitch and a home run. Marcell Ozuna. Yeah, the Marlins outfield, Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton, all with at least 20 home runs a year ago. That's quite a trio they have returning.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Marcell Ozuna, one of the best fastball hitters in the game. When he is locked in, he can turn anybody around. I remember last year turned Noah Syndergaard around at 99 miles an hour. Jumps on a first pitch heater right here from Weaver, who's been out, again, looking to establish the strike zone, make a pitch, gets a center cut fastball right there and just unloads. My goodness, that's a quick swing. Oof.
Deepest part of the park. Now it's Justin Bour. Will the Marlins let Bour play against lefties, or are we going to see JT Realmuto?
Well, I think the answer is yes to both. I mean, I really do. I think there's going to be an opportunity there. I mean, the idea is this, and I experienced this a little bit in my career. I remember with Buddy Bell when I was playing for the Rockies, he used to tell me, he goes, listen, Holly, your days off is going to be against Randy Johnson. Now, granted, hey, I want to be in there every day, lefty on lefty. It's Randy Johnson, for crying out loud. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think what's going to happen with Bour is he's going to get an awful lot of opportunity against some of those lefties, but there might be a tougher guy in there. On some days that you're going to see JT Realmuto in there. I mean, that's just the way that it's going to work. I understand that those numbers don't tell you a whole lot right there, but the reality is he hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity against them. He's earned it. He can have that kind of impact. The problem that you have is that, he needs the reps to get better at it.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Bour. Today has walked a couple of times, and that was against Adam Wainwright. Weaver, the 3rd pitcher used by St. Louis, the 2-2. It's a major league debut for Luke Weaver at Wrigley Field. First man he saw, Dexter Fowler, now his teammate, and struck him out looking. Only win a year ago was against the Oakland A's at home at Busch Stadium. And the 3-2 pitch to Bour. Walked him. One of the things I think the Cardinals saw with Weaver as the season went on and as his major league season progressed, his command of the strike zone wasn't quite where it was when he first got there. Now, you're dealing with a young pitcher. You're dealing with major league hitters. You're around the strike zone, these guys pop it, where sometimes you get away with it in the minor leagues.
Yeah, well, at the big league level, you don't. You make mistakes, you'll pay. You're going to find out real quick. Big league hitters, even the lower half of the lineup will make you pay if you're making mistakes out over the plate. And you're seeing it right now. We talk about emotion in the game of baseball and harnessing it and controlling it. I mean, we saw what happened on the first pitch. Weaver's thrown in game action in nearly 2 weeks. He gets turned around by Ozuna. What does he do to the next hitter? He ends up walking him again, trying to be too fine. Now, granted, in your mind, you say, okay, relax, just make pitches. But again, there's that anxiety, controlling that blood pressure. It's not easy to do.
Adeiny Echeverria, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. It was Weaver and Trevor Rosenthal this past week that pitched on the side. So Weaver goes today, and Rosenthal threw a side session back behind the complex here at the ballpark about 2 hours before our first pitch. They're going to see how he comes away from that. He's been dealing with a sore side, and if all goes well, then he'll appear in some games this week. That's hit out of play. 2-1 the count.
Yeah, Rosenthal in a very interesting role. Do you have an answer? If I were to ask you the question being the obvious one, Trevor Rosenthal, what is he? What's the answer?
Closer, could start, dynamite stuff, I mean,
that's
a little bit of everything.
I'm looking for, though.
I'm giving you everything.
Right. Well, that's what so many people have been surprised at the transition, because he really did establish himself. Echeverria really trying to stay inside the baseball right there. Good spot, tied him up just a little bit, and you kind of play off the foul ball to the right side, which was the pitch before. Weaver trying to work back in there.
Here's a 2-2 pitch.
30 years.
That's hit out of play. When you looked at Andrew Miller of the Cleveland Indians last year in postseason play, you saw multiple innings time and again. In my opinion, and talking with those around the Cardinals, they don't think that that is a model that's sustainable for 7 months. If he needed it, in September and October, when guys are running out of gas and you need those wins, you might have the multiple innings kind of thing. I don't think that's going to be sustainable, though, with Rosenthal, a hard thrower. But what it does set him up to be is outstanding, and basically having 2 closers in your pen in the 8th and the 9th Rosenthal will go the 8th, could close if need be, and then you have Sunwon Oh as your closer going into this season. Nice play there by Patrick Wisdom.
Well, I would imagine that Rosenthal is certainly capable of doing it. He knows what's going on in the situation and how his role has transitioned now. I mean, again, one of the elite closers in the game for a period of time, and the things that kind of got away from him a little bit last year now is making that transition. I think that, you know, you're not asking a first-year major leaguer to do this. This is somebody who knows how to get big league hitters out, and it probably will serve him well in the long term.
There's Matt Youngel, who is 1 for 2. Yeah, he's made no secret about the fact that at some point he would love to start. He was really disappointed. He was scheduled to start, I believe it was a week ago today, and then was scratched because of the soreness in the side. Nothing serious, but why push it in spring training? Now the Cardinals, though, do want to see him, and he was being stretched out to at least have a chance to start, get his feet wet with that, get his work in. But they want to see him go multiple innings at some point down here.
I really do think it's a possibility. I think the one thing that hasn't been talked about too much, Dan, that I'll bring up here is the fact that the disabled list has been shortened to 10 days. And I think what you're going to see this year is probably an overuse of the disabled list. I think most teams will probably overreact. They're going to look at that and say, well, it's not 15 days anymore. It's only 10. That little,
we can get away with it.
Oh yeah, put them on the DL. You know, just a little. You know, the little things are going to become bigger things. Things that guys might have fought through before, they may not now, or the clubs may ask their player to go on the disabled list for periods of time. So I think what you'll see from a lot of teams is the use of multiple starters. At the same time, you start to protect some of your guys, some of your bigger guys, if you in fact can do this.
Good point.
Well, think about it. I mean, a whole week, I mean, 5 days, it's one start. It's one turn through the rotation. Instead of missing potentially 3 starts, now you're missing 2 if you look at it. And the way you do it, if it's coming off his last start, it may only be 1.
Right.
So teams, I promise you, are probably going to overreact to this a little bit. I think we're going to see, we'll probably talk about this when we see each other during the year, the overuse of the disabled list. I think you're going to see teams do this a lot this year.
Here is Sierra with a runner at second base. Moises Sierra is 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts.
A lot of teams, a lot of players would fight to avoid that because it was such an extended period of time. Like, oh, no, now listen, man, this is like 3 days. You ain't putting me on the disabled list, you know, for this little twinge in my leg. It's 3 days, I'll be back. And teams were willing to wait and find out because the 15 days scared teams. They didn't want to lose a player for 15 days. Now it's only 10.
Right. It is a big difference. Half a month as opposed to 10 days.
Absolutely.
And from Don Mattingly's perspective, especially as you talk about with a pitcher, it could be just one turn in the rotation.
I'm thinking
you miss.
Weaver and Rosenthal. I mean, they're probably going to end up with a handful of starts this year with in a Cardinals uniform just based on that alone. In a lot of ways, it might even be the smarter way to do it because it's now a vehicle for teams to manage the innings of their starters a little bit better. Maybe protect their health a little bit more.
1-2 the count with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. A home run by Ozuna to start this inning has made it a 5-2 St. Louis lead. Misses in 2-2.
Real good take right there by Sierra. Little 2-seam action on a ball on the inside part of the plate. Tried to get the swing and the miss. Was able to lay off of it.
The 2-2 pitch. Identical spot, missed inside, 3-2. Clouds overhead, no sunshine. They have not turned on the lights yet here at the ballpark, but that'll be probably happening in the next 5-10 minutes or so. The 3-2. And he walked him. Moises, that's ball 4.
He was feeling good about himself. That's a really good at bat. Those last 3 pitches were pitcher's pitches that he laid off at the bottom of the zone. I thought, yeah, that's the best at bat he's had this afternoon. Sierra, real nice job right there. Not always the easiest thing to do. Sometimes when you don't get a lot of action or a good results your first couple at bats, go out there, you really want that third at bat to be a good one. And that was a good at bat, you know, obviously taking the walk, but sometimes I know I used to do this all the time, get a little more hungry in those situations. Wanted to chase that third time if I hadn't done anything yet.
2 outs, 2 on. Tomas Talis, the catcher today. Miami has added A.J. Ellis as the backup to J.T. Realmuto. Ellis reunites with Don Mattingly. Those two were with each other for a number of years with the Dodgers.
Real nice pickup, and we've talked about how this rotation's been put together and probably the importance of you know, bringing a guy like Ellis on board.
That's a fair ball inside the first base line and down into the corner. A run will score to make it 5-3. Talise on his way to second base. RBI double to score Moore, who was the pinch runner for Justin Bour.
Always take pride in those 2-out RBIs. Gets an off-speed pitch, fooled by just a little bit. Talise does a nice job staying level through the zone, able to drive it down the right field line, pick up that RBI.
Runners at second and third. 6 hits aside. A base hit could tie this game. This is Ramon Cabrera. So Weaver's come in and allowed a couple of runs. His 25th pitch of the inning. And it's a ball inside.
And you can kind of see some of the rust coming off right here. When you miss time early in spring training, especially for the pitchers, it can be, you know, you end up a little bit behind it. And you see as his misses aren't good misses right now. They're easy takes for the hitters, so they're able to keyhole him a little bit. Pitches that have been hit have been pitches out over the plate.
Here's a 1-0. Slap the other way and foul.
I'll probably tell you after today's outing, you probably felt like he's surviving only on his fastball right now because everything else is so far off the plate. The hitters aren't even, you know, really giving a whole lot of respect to it because they're not good misses. But again, sometimes not easy to do because you're in a position where you're going back out there to get your work and you've missed some time. I mean, the hitters are starting to move along. We're halfway through spring training, a little bit past the halfway mark now.
Cardinals seeing that pitch count elevate, get a right-hander up and throwing in the pen. The 1-1 kept in front by Fryer. As you talked about for Luke Weaver, very I'm sure frustrating situation. Comes out, makes a start, then working on the side, injures himself, has to be held back.
Fast defensive changes for the Cardinals. In right field, number 79, Harris Sierra. In left field, 81, Anthony Garcia. At first base, 65, Chad Huffman. At second base,
it's Roland getting loose.
Pitching is 62, Luke Weaver.
That little mound meeting right there by Fryer. My guess is that to let him know this is probably his last hitter right here. Come on, give me everything you got right here, and let's try and get ourselves an out right here. If you lose this guy, then we're probably going to have to go get a guy out of the bullpen.
Starting to rain here at the ballpark, and the 2-1 pitch is a strike. 2-2.
Well, that meeting appears to be received by Fryer, no doubt about it. We were able to get back into the strike zone.
We thought the rain was coming, and now it's starting to fall here at the ballpark. 2-2 the count. And a ground ball that's hit to second. Miami strands 2, but they pick up 2. Marcell Ozuna, the first pitch in the inning by Luke Weaver. Man can hit a fastball. He drove it 400 plus feet. It's 5-3 St. Louis as we head to the 7th. Against Ellington here in the top of the 7th. Todd Hollinsworth of Fox Sports Florida. Alongside, I'm Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest. This is one of our shared telecasts this spring. It's 5-3. The Cardinals with the lead over Miami. Ellington, his second inning of work. Fryer is 0 for 2. He's had a couple of chances today to drive in base runners. Came up with a runner at third, nobody out, struck out in the third. Bases loaded and nobody out back in the 4th. And flied out to right. Here's an 0-1 pitch. A steady rain here at the ballpark, and the 1-1. And it hits Fryer. You can probably hear that rain popping off some of our mics around the field.
Right. Ellington right there working around the zone just a little bit. You kind of saw it last inning, at times showing good command, and then at other times kind of losing it just a little bit. And you see right here, this kind of flies out that hand a little early on the grip and gets him on the elbow.
It is starting to pour right now. You know, when you're watching on TV, I always say this. You don't realize how much sometimes it truly is raining, and sometimes it looks harder than it is. This right now is pouring.
Oh yeah, skies have opened up.
And a strike to Tommy Pham.
Oh, you can definitely see it on TV. There you go.
I'm assuming the umpires have probably gotten word that it's maybe just going to come over the field for a couple of minutes and then clear up. It is pouring right now. Here's an 0-1 pitch. Instead, a check on the runner at first. That's Ortega pinch running for Eric Fryer. Come to the ballpark. It's not supposed to do this.
No, not this time of year.
No, sir. I have to imagine it's got to be a tough for the pitcher to get a little grip. You can see that ball that hung up on a breaking ball.
Yeah, there's no grip. I mean, that's just it. And this is what pitchers talk about all the time. Yeah, to your point. I mean, we're in Florida. You think it's okay. But even now, like, he goes to his pants to try to dry his fingers off, and your pants are wet. So he can't find any, any dry fabric right there. So we got to be a little careful right there. I'm obviously glad that the rain's stopping and keep going. But when you see those downpours in Florida, we used to talk about this all the time. When your uniform would get soaking wet like that, you can't dry your fingers off. I mean, it just gets so hard to do, and you're just asking for one to slip.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Tommy Pham. And Pham pops it up. Center fielder couldn't find it. And it drops. You could see right away. No idea where that baseball was, and battling the raindrops falling in. That's Brandon Barnes in center.
Yeah, never had a chance to really get a gauge of it through the raindrops.
Tommy Pham will take it. It's a base hit for him.
A little lob wedge out to short center field.
So Tommy is now 2 for 4. Barnes had no idea.
He lost his foot. Barnes had no idea. Yeah, that's just one of those plays that happens in spring training. Managers don't get too worked up about it. I'm sure Don Mattingly's not happy that ball fell in, but the reality is things like that happen. I mean, normally when that rain hits us like it did you, I mean, you're going to stop the game even for 10 minutes because that was, but this is spring training. So clearly the rain had something to do with that.
Here's Paul DeYoung. Runners at first and second. And nobody out. And DeYoung hits it well into right center. And that ball is gone. An opposite field home run. That's impressive there off the bat of Paul DeYoung. A 3-run shot. And it makes it an 8-3 St. Louis lead. That's impressive.
Yeah, DeYoung gets a first pitch fastball. My goodness gracious, gets some serious extension to right center field. Short, quick. He knew it when he got it. It's just a fastball right there. Ellington trying to get out in front, and I don't blame him. Again, we talked about grip and losing that slider just a little bit. He's not going to throw a first pitch slider right there. Just a fastball out over the plate, but Young jumped all over it and made him pay.
Now Patrick Wisdom with 3 home runs this spring. Remember I was talking about DeYoung with exit velocity?
There it is.
Yeah. Check that. This is Bader at the plate. No, it is Wisdom. Patrick Wisdom. Here's a 1-0 pitch.
Well, your point on exit velocity, I mean, it's the predictability of success in a lot of ways. That's why it's become a favorite stat, and I'm sure that's why you like it, because the more consistently you have that exit velocity, you're proving that you can hit a big league fastball, that the ball comes off your bat, and in a lot of ways, it's going to predict that success. The more often you do that, the more often you see that number, the more likely you are to get base hits. Pretty simple stuff, but you're right. I love it. I absolutely love it, especially when you see some of the big guys and some of those long home runs, and you see the the 103s and whatnot.
Stanton comes to mind.
Well, it's a great thing, in fans who are fans of StatCast, and you see that number, it's amazing because there's so many different ways to create that number, and I think that's what fans really, when you watch it. In Stanton's case, some guys it's bat speed, it's a lighter bat and a bigger guy, and sometimes it's a bigger guy and bat speed, it's more out of their hips, and sometimes it's out of their hands. But like give you an example for the Marlins, like you watch Stanton and you watch Yelich. Yelich is an example of bat speed more with his hands and more with his hips, where Stanton, you look at it, it's more raw power. It's hips, it's arms, and probably a little bit more shoulders, where Yelich doesn't have nearly as much. It's more fluid, and it's so interesting because they probably come up a lot of times with the same number as far as exit velocity.
Right.
But how do you create that exit velocity is so different in the types of players.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Wisdom. And he struck him out. The first out here in the 7th. So there they are, Stanton and Yelich. And these guys are locked up long term too, so they're in the fold for a long time in Miami.
Well, it's a simple question. It's one that you asked me at the beginning of the telecast today. How did the Marlins win this year, during the Major League season? Pretty simple. I mean, you look at these two guys. I mean, it's like I can talk around, both of them and say, well, the pitching this or the bullpen that. They have to have great years. I mean, let's just start there. If they don't, they're really not going anywhere.
Right.
That's how valuable they are to this team.
Here's Magneuris Sierra.
I mean, I'd be willing to say there's no replacements for it.
No.
It doesn't exist. I mean, and that's the point. And you look at this Marlins team, and I say they're going to win because you know what? They're going to stay healthy. They're going to stay on their field. They're going to get off to a great start, and things are just really going to roll with them. Yelich and Stanton will be in the middle of that if it happens.
With Stanton, he's played in 123 games or fewer in 4 of the last 5 years. Now, what would have happened at the tail end of last year if you have a healthy Stanton? He dealt with some leg issues for Don Mattingly's club. Obviously, the loss of Jose Fernandez was huge. But Stanton in that lineup and his presence, it's not just what he could do and the damage that he brings, but his presence in the lineup
Absolutely.
too.
Well, every team has an identity, and he is the Marlins' identity now. I mean, that is what Jose Fernandez, his passing has taken us to. And it's even Stanton being a part of the healing process in all of that, being the team leader, rallying the guys on the mound there at the end of the season. I mean, there's so many different ingredients that kind of lead you to this. This is the type of season that's just really set itself up for Stanton to show up, to stand up, and to lead. And I think in a lot of ways, and he's got a great, he's got a, I kind of look at it like Batman and Robin. He's got a great Robin in Yelich, but the bottom line is we all know who Batman is.
Right.
Hey, Alex, good way to go, kid.
Strikeout of Sierra, back-to-back strikeouts.
Left fielder number 81, Anthony Garcia.
And it brings in Anthony Garcia. From a player's perspective, can they get over the loss this year of the leader of that team in many ways in Jose Fernandez?
Well, I mean, you can get over the loss. You have no choice but to. I mean, I've said it before, time was what's going to heal this, but it's not something that one man can take on. It's a responsibility that an organization has to take on. Even a community has to take on the passing Jose Fernandez. It's a situation where, those innings are divided up in the rotation. Different things happen. There's different ways of getting to the end, but the reality is you lost one of the best right-handers, and some people will tell you the best right-hander if you want in the game, or the best young right-hander in the game, and he is not atop your rotation, and then you've got to deal with the emotion that is there. Sure, time is going to heal. This team is going to keep playing and playing hard and fight for his his cause or for him in memory, The reality is you're going to have to find a way to divvy up that responsibility. No one man can shoulder it.
Very, very tough. Cardinals have dealt with their in-season losses. Nothing in 2 on Anthony Garcia. A couple of home runs, 5 RBIs this spring. St. Louis with a lefty throwing in their pen. Same can be said for the Marlins as Ellington is trying to get the final out here in the top of the 7th. Now time is called. Very light drizzle right now here at the ballpark.
Storms move through. That'll be probably at the end of it for a little while here.
We hope.
Bring them up so you can do that. Hopefully, I'm sure they want prior to
0-2 pitch to Garcia. Popped up right side. Playable in foul territory, and the catch is made. Damage, though, done. Paul DeYoung has had a very good spring, opened up a lot of eyes with the St. Louis Cardinals. This will get your attention. Goes down to get it. Opposite field, 3-run shot. Time to stretch. It's 8-3.
You don't.
TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, enjoy almost 300 spring training games and the World Baseball Classic. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Such an interesting story. Jordan Schaefer of the St. Louis Cardinals, and that may ring a bell for some of you folks. As a position player playing in the National League East with the Atlanta Braves. He was a starting center fielder for 2 different franchises on opening day, and he's trying to make it as both a position player, outfielder, and a pitcher here with the St. Louis Cardinals.
How does he get his work in? One day you show up as a pitcher, the next day you show up as a player. Very interesting to me to see if he can pull this off. What a feat. I think of Brooks Kieschnick, I guess, as an example of that. I played with Brooks in the Arizona Fall League back in the day. Boy, he had a cannon for an arm.
Ouch.
Caught him right on the hand or arm right there.
That's Jeffrey Perez, a top 10 prospect for the Marlins, and that catches Ortega. He got him on the shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, sure did.
Oh, yeah, right. Just kind of there's that open spot, especially catchers who have a little bit longer necks. They kind of make themselves slightly vulnerable right there when they kind of reach for that ball that opens up that chest protector. See, watch his neck right there. See, kind of right underneath there, right there in that little spot.
I know.
We had Ricky Ankiel in the booth a couple of days ago. Ricky Ankiel, longtime major leaguer, pitcher, and an outfielder. And, you know, he's talked about trying to make the transition from position player to pitcher. He felt that would be tougher than what he did. You know, Schaefer was telling me he's always had a good arm. He pitched in high school like many, it seems like major league players did, because they always had the best arms. And
see, he's trying to do both, though.
Right.
See, like that. I mean, I've understood that, and I mean, there's some really good pitchers who are good athletes that can obviously make the transition to being a player, or even the other way around in some cases. But I guess the thing that amazes me is that he's doing this at the same time.
Well, he said, and we're joking about it, but his days are spent, you know, sometimes cutting BP short and running to go do a bullpen session, or vice versa. He was roughed up his last time out. The 3-1 pitch is a high fly ball into center field. Catch made by Sierra. The other aspect of Jordan Schaefer is that he's such a good athlete. He's also one of the fastest guys in camp. So, I mean, so think about it if you're Mike Matheny and he does make the club or at some point is called up. I mean, he could pinch run, stay in the game and pitch, and if he needed to, then put him in the outfield and then bring him back in to pitch to face somebody else.
Right.
I mean, he could really do some different things.
And it's a very interesting, you know, concept and certainly idea. I guess the question that I would have is the effectiveness of the pitching, you know, the pitching side of it, and that's really what it comes down to. Because if you do bring him into the game, you know, as I say, a pinch runner, which he's certainly capable of doing, and certainly somebody you think would do that, you know, you obviously lose him on the mound unless something kind of backs its way into that situation, because I think right now he's probably more of a lefty specialist out of the bullpen, I would say, right? I mean, it isn't how you see it. So it's almost in regards, you'd have to, during the course of the game, think of him as a pitcher first, thinking, is there a spot that we're going to use him today? And if there's not, as this game goes on, then maybe we could use him as a pinch runner. I don't know. It's a very interesting conversation, because, you know, using him the right way, I think, would be somewhat difficult to figure out.
Yeah. Barnes is retired now. Den Decker at the plate, the former Met. Last year, we saw Travis Wood with Chicago used in the outfield. Good enough athlete to do that, then come in and finish off an inning or get a matchup that Joe Madden wanted. There's a good breaking ball, drops in for a strike.
Well, Steb is still in those situations. That was done more out of desperation because of the limitations in the ball game, the players that had been used, and the fact that Travis could do it. It's not something that necessarily was strategic. I mean, putting Travis out there, you certainly don't want to see him get hurt, obviously, but that's kind of how it worked for sure.
Whitey Herzog in the 1980s with the Cardinals would do that occasionally. Lefty would come in, face a left-handed batter, then go to right field or wherever it may be, but typically right field, and then come back to face another lefty in that matchup.
Yep.
It does make it fun to talk about, I can tell you that. It's fun to watch.
It is.
1-2 the count. Now a strike away from having a scoreless bottom of the seventh.
You know, everything at the major league level, for obvious reasons, is so, you know, you are what you are. It's very structured, and you know, you look at, you know, today's game. I mean, we talk to our younger players, you know, even my sons, you know, Ty and Tug and Trey. They play multiple positions. They pitch, they hit, they do it all. And you know, and at some point, it's almost like, well, you've got to pick what you're going to be. What are you going to be? I mean, you even some of the players, I believe even in this year's draft, a couple of guys who throw really, really hard and who are also good hitters. You know, you kind of have to. You're going to be a hitter. You're going to be a pitcher. Well, you know, we want the velocity, so we'll draft you as a pitcher. But another team might say we want to draft you as a hitter.
Right.
But you do have to kind of define yourself. That's why I'm so intrigued by, to your point, what Jordan's trying to pull off here is very, very unique. You got to have a manager who's going to have to think along with his role every day.
He said his velocity when they first moved him to the mound, and this was something that was done a couple of years ago with Minnesota, was around 88 miles an hour. So not too shabby at all for a guy that hadn't been on the mound. He was hitting 91 to 93 with the Dodgers. That's well hit down the right field line, and it's a home run. It stays fair and a home run. Matt Den Decker. Now Schaefer, the two previous pitches, didn't get the call. Little frustrated, you could see that there, and Den Decker then with that pitch drives it down the right field line for a solo home run.
Yeah, you get a pitch out over the plate. That's, to your point, exactly what happens right there. Just misses on a couple pitches, and then you see right there, where does that pitch? He wanted to get it away. He leaks it back out over the plate. Den Decker jumps all over it and deposits it over the wall in right field.
And it brings in Moore. Came in as a pinch runner for Justin Bour. 2 outs, nobody on. It's now an 8-4 St. Louis lead. But back to the point of velocity, Schaefer feels he can get to mid-90s before the season is through. And also, to your point, there were teams that wanted to draft him as a pitcher.
Right.
And he had to tell people, look, you can draft me as a pitcher, but I'm not going to sign. If you want me to be a position player, count me in.
Right.
That's what he wanted to do.
People used to ask me all the time, like, you know, as a young kid coming up, why didn't you pitch more? Like, I never pitched. I said it bored me to death. I just never, I didn't like it. No, I mean, and I think Jordan probably would tell you the same thing. He just saw himself more as a player, you know, factoring into his personality.
That's well hit out to deep left field. Drops in, one hop off the wall, and Moore on his way to second base.
Marlins hitters jumping on some pitches out over the plate right here from Schaefer.
Shortstop number 78.
Brings in the shortstop, J.T. Riddle.
Yeah, Moore having a real nice spring as well. Gets a breaking ball in the middle of the plate, up and elevated. We talk about it. I've talked about high ball hitters, man. You miss with a breaking ball up in the zone above the waist, it's going to get hit by just about anybody. And you see right there the ability to drive it. Nice at bat by Moore.
And something's not right with Jordan Schaefer, apparently. The Cardinals medical team is out to visit and see what's going on here. He has been besieged by injury the last 3 years. Multiple stints on the DL. Surgeries and whatnot. Nobody was up and throwing in the Cardinals pen. Continue to talk to Jordan Schaefer. And that's going to be it. In terms of injuries, right now he can't catch a break in his career. So be our Chevy call to the pen. We'll see the change when we come back.
Wow. Get close.
St. Louis is with a group of your friends and family. Group tickets are on sale now. Groups of 20 or more receive great incentives, including a discount of up to 50% off the gate price in most seating areas. For more details, visit cardinals.com/groups or call 314-345-9000. So Zach Phillips comes in, a left-hander. They're going to give him all the time that he needs. Cardinals have become his 6th major league organization. He's pitched with the Rangers, the Orioles, Marlins, White Sox, and Pirates. We saw him pitch at Busch Stadium at the tail end of last year with Pittsburgh. He's also spent a year in Japan. That was in 2014. Can never have enough depth, and especially enough depth from the left side.
No, completely agree. There's always one more great left-handed hitter in the game of baseball, right? You got to have these guys, these specialties that come, specialists who come in and get these guys out and put down those innings. You see him warming up right now, and he's got all the time in the world to do it. A lot of sliders, and again, a two-seamer.
Then to get ready in a hurry. No truth to the rumor that he's also a part of the Teen Wolf Clan.
Dan, I think you should grow your hair out that long, no?
Hey, when I'm retired, maybe so. The beard, the hair.
Rocking chair?
Absolutely. All grooming out the window.
Yes, sir.
You know, when you were playing, guys, they actually shaved.
Yeah.
Guys now, it's the beard, man.
Well, I mean, it's the day and age of the athlete. I mean, you look at all professional sports and the beards are in. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's actually kind of a fun conversation. But right, I mean, my generation kind of were like into our uniforms, but we all were very clean shaven, short hair. I mean, nobody had the long hair. Nobody did it. And then I went crazy, and everybody kind of I'm certainly not saying I started any trends, but I kind of grew my hair out. Actually, here in Florida, it was I started just kind of growing it and growing it and growing it. I don't know. I couldn't find a good barber, and then it got
so
really,
that was
really
your
long.
excuse.
It's something like that. I don't know. My wife was like, "You got to stop this. Your hair's out of control." And I'm like, "I can't. Now we're winning, right? Everything's going well." But now you see it. Everybody's beards and hair, and it's the whole thing.
Things have changed with the Marlins this year. Is Riddle looks at the first pitch. The clean shave policy is no longer. Jeffrey Lurie, a longtime fan of the Yankees. That was, what the Yankees always did. So that was the rule for a while, and now that's no longer going into 2017.
Right. Freedom of expression is big in the game, certainly big in professional sports, and I mean, I get it from both sides. I mean, this is a very interesting one. I kind of always thought that way and certainly respected it. I was never growing that beard out, but I think as long as you don't abuse it, you certainly should be allowed to, grow a beard if you want, as long as it's not that Duck Dynasty beard that's,
Some of those have that.
Well,
Andrew Kashner.
Right, and shouldn't there be a happy medium, right?
There's a base hit. Sierra can throw, but it's offline to the plate and safe. If it's online, he probably got more.
A little bit of a tail just on that ball. Good velocity, good strong throw, but Moore had a nice break on the ball with 2 outs. You're always going to get a good break on the ball because you're running on contact. You see, watch this throw right here if we can see it. See it right there, it just kind of tails just a little bit to the first base side of home plate, giving Moore that little extra half a step. And watch this, people. Keep your feet on the ground, young men at home, young players. Don't slide with your spikes high. You want to keep them down. That way you'll be safe. You see it right there. It worked.
So it makes it an 8-5 Cardinals lead over Miami. And Anderson digs in for the first time. That pitch is to the backstop. Wild pitch charge to Zach Phillips out of Sacramento, California. He'll turn 31 in mid-September and was signed as a minor league free agent by the Cardinals. We are in the bottom of the 7th. 8-5 the Cardinals lead, and the 1-0 pitch. Ever wonder why that happens? Previous pitch is to the screen, and then all of a sudden he paints the black on the outside corner.
I used to always tell myself because there's some element of embarrassment there.
Maybe so.
I mean, the attention to details, but you're right. Next thing you know, you throw it on the black. You see a lot of similarities in this game. I find it so amazing. You go through every game, and I've seen it multiple times today. We've even talked about it just a little bit. Sometimes when a pitcher doesn't make a pitch or gets beat by a pitch, what happens to the next hitter? Almost predictably, there's a worse pitch, or there's the inability to overcome the mistake that happened in the previous at bat, and it leaks into the next at bat. And you see this all the time. Where pitchers are feeling the emotions of the moment. Even here in spring training, we talk about like this matchup right here for Phillips and for Anderson. These are big moments for these men. As we talked about, you're trying to impress your team. You want to be that guy. Granted, 25-man roster. Are these guys breaking camp with the team? Probably not. But the point is, you're always treating every at bat like somebody's watching you, and you can do something to impress them.
One of those people watching you are holding radar guns behind home plate too. Scouts with other teams.
That's exactly right.
3-2 the count. So Phillips was thrust into this game after the injury to Schaefer. Had to get loose in a hurry. Now the 3-2 pitch. is a fly ball into right, and the catch is made. Marlins pick up a run. We played 7, and it's 8-5. The Cardinals lead the Marlins.
Power steering pump?
He's the new pitcher from the University of Tennessee. Spent last year in the minor leagues, working out of the pen at AA. And Steckenrider is into this ball game in the 8th. Mentioned the University of Tennessee, where Todd Helton has gone back to be a coach.
Interesting, isn't it? A little surprised at that. I mean, Todd is a good friend of mine, former teammate of mine, obviously with the Colorado Rockies. Known Todd a long time. I haven't seen him in a few years, but I was a little surprised at that. I mean, I would have thought that there would have been a big league opportunity waiting for him. But, I mean, listen, certainly a very popular Tennessee volunteer, no doubt about it. So going back certainly can make sense, I guess, under the right circumstances.
There's Chad Huffman, and many times too, you know, you talk to players that get out of the game, and usually they need a year or two to just get away, be with their families, and they miss it. And some say, I'd rather not be in pro baseball. I'd rather go back to helping at the collegiate level and amateur athletes.
Well, this game is such an intense game. Everybody thinks it's physical, really mentally. You talk to baseball players who have played this game for a long time. I mean, the realization, even the one that I came to after my career, was that it's in your DNA. It's who you are. I mean,
Huffman a grounder to second. Yeah, I would imagine for guys like you,
whatever you think you're going to be, you know, the reality is you're most qualified for this. This is what you know. This is what, I mean, my whole life has been dedicated to this sport, even as a child. I mean, I love football, I love basketball, I love the game of baseball, but understanding this game from my minor league experiences to understanding the game and sabermetrics and how to get better and how to hold my hands and do all the things that you did in the minor leagues to becoming successful at the big league level, and then realizing your career's over, you say, I've dedicated my life to this point in time, to this game right here.
Here's Valera, who's listed in the top 20 in Baseball America among Cardinal prospects. Very good glove. Takes over at second base. Yeah, I was about to say, I would imagine for guys like you, others that have played the game a long time, you know, February hits, and if you're not in the game, you're thinking, I'm supposed to be doing something. I need to be at spring training or around a cage, indoor cage somewhere, doing something with the game.
Yeah, you kind of get it out of your system just to readjust, and I remember going through it, you know, with Marcy and the kids, and you know, kind of finding my place at home.
Did they want you back?
They did eventually, right? I mean, it took some time, but at first, you know, well, right? No, I mean, that's really the truth, and I think most ball players really do go through it because there's some element of it's over, and I mean, that's not necessarily a positive thing. I think, you know, when we look at David Ortiz, we say that's a positive, right? Full career, the guy's, you know, either, you know, he's kind of, you know, Hall of Famer, you know, he's well liked, he's very popular, won championships, but 99.9% of us aren't David Ortiz. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not always going to go that way.
Ground ball to second again, and Valera is out number 2. Just talking to some scouts down here that believe David Ortiz is not done. There's been a lot of talk over in Fort Myers that those around that camp think that some way, somehow, he's going to come back. It was interesting, you know, just to hear some of the scuttlebutt around the various camps in Major League Baseball.
Well, I think the answer to that question probably lies in the next 60 days.
You think so?
I really do. I mean, that's, you know, at least for me personally, those were the toughest days. And if he doesn't stick his toe back in the water in the next 60 days, I think with each passing day, he actually will become more comfortable out of the water.
This is Alvarez at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I suppose there's the possibility that, you know, I guess maybe you think about it, pitchers, you know, I remember Pedro doing it, like the pitchers who kind of semi-retired and came back at the, you know, kind of the trade deadline. Maybe David's like, all right, I'm gonna take the half the year off and I'll come back at the trade deadline. I mean, have we seen that? I don't believe we've seen that yet. So listen, I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't know. I just feel like with every day that you kind of get out, even as a player,
well, you get a taste of being home.
Yep.
You get through the first spring training and not preparing for a season.
Well, you have to find your place in this world, and I mean that with all sincerity. For everybody listening, I mean, it's like it doesn't matter how much money you make. You have to find your place in this world, and your place in this world has been dedicated to a sport, time, 365, 24/7 in a lot of ways. You know, just even your off seasons, just waiting for the next round of baseball. You know, where that's no longer the driving force in your life. You've got to find another, you know, is it your family? Is it your kids? And if you've made that kind of money, what makes you happy? I mean,
right.
Most guys tell you, I don't want to play golf 365 days a year. We all think we do, but you don't.
Nice pick at first by Moore. 3 ground ball outs for Steckenrider.
Nice hitting right there.
Midway through 8. It's 8-5. Cardinals lead the Marlins. Florida, Dan McLaughlin, Fox Sports Midwest, 8-5. The Cardinals with the lead as Matt Bowman takes over for St. Louis. Bowman a solid season. Rule 5 pickup from the Mets. Appeared in 59 games out of the bullpen for St. Louis. Record of 2-5. Very reliable. Good sinker. A lot of ground balls. And he'll be counted upon this year again.
Got a lot of big outs last year. No doubt about it. Certainly here. Such an interesting part of spring training games. I love this part of the game, you know, because we kind of, you know, as players at times you watch, you know, well, okay, some of the guys, the D. Gordons and whatnot are out of the ball game. You know, typically, you know, you kind of get to the end of this, but there's still big outs. It's still spring training all the way through, and you have to try to capitalize on every moment you get out there. Right now for Bowman, it's a big spot right here. He's got a 3-run lead. He's trying to give him a shutdown 8th inning.
Here's Destin Hood. Intriguing prospect that did see big league action last year for Miami. Turned down a football scholarship from
Nick Saban in Alabama and finally made it to the big leagues a year ago. Hitting .261 this spring. Bowman has had a real good camp. Just pumping strikes, real aggressive. You go from being a Rule 5 this time last year, barely made the club. There were some injuries at the end of spring that allowed him to make the club. Then he's got a stick because he's Rule 5, and he was much more than just, you know, people say Rule 5, you think, well, that's a guy just hanging on. He was more than that. He was really good, and that's a breaking ball, and he strikes out Hood.
Yeah, dials up that outside corner 3 straight times. Real 3 quality pitches right there. Hood, great athlete. Unfortunately, didn't get a pitch to his liking, but you look at the action on this pitch right here. It just kind of works its way down in the zone. Thought it was going to be off the plate and catches that outside corner.
And Hood didn't like the call. You can see in that reaction. Austin Nola at the plate. Ground ball. And that's what Matt Bowman can do. Good sinker.
Well, in this day and age of velocity, I think it's so interesting when we talk about the, you know, how bullpens are put together, and Mike Matheny's got a good one, but the ability to put together different types of elements. You know, a guy who's a great sinker ball guy, a guy who might be like a Ziegler, a submarine guy, lefty who shows you multiple arm angles. I think that is so vital in today's game. It's not so much about that velocity. I know we think it is, but if you put together, and I can promise you this, 7 guys who all throw 95 to 97 miles an hour, you're going to run into bumps because, again, hitters are going to zone that up. They're going to lock in on it. It's when you're able to change the hitting zone, change the hitter's eyes. Bowman's a great example of this. He kind of comes in, flies open a little bit early. You see him kind of crossfire when he starts, but he gets that shoulder open, and that 2-seamer really kind of comes out of his hand. He's a little bit different. A heavy sink action right there. You know, you pair that with, say, a Rosenthal, it's a different fastball.
Right. This is Galloway at the plate. Bowman showing the breaking ball, something, you know, he would show a little bit last year, not a lot. It was pretty much sinker after sinker.
And I'm sure that will probably be the case again this year. I remember the antics, I think even of a Greg Maddux, who used to tell guys what was coming on purpose just so that, you know, like, to change the game. Like, and I'm not kidding around. Like, even in spring training games, he'd just be like, here comes a sinker, and actually throw it. I mean, you know, the idea was, you know, we see this an awful lot of spring training of not tipping your hand. The Marlins and the Cardinals, not in the same division, so it's okay. You play a lot of games, but again, like, you know, the Marlins and the Mets, I mean, you see each other so much during the year. You don't want to tip your hand and show your pitching too much early in spring.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Ground ball sharply hit. Valera trying to stay with it. He does, and not in time. Take a look at the motion of Matt Bowman and see if you pick up a little Tim Lincecum in this delivery that he has to the plate. Not saying that he's Tim Lincecum, but
yeah, he hides that ball, and that's what Lincecum, that front shoulder. You think about throwing over that front shoulder and hiding it. It's kind of going up and over the mountain is what we call it, and you see it right there. Bowman really does hide that ball well, but when you do that right there, you see you think about what Lincecum is or has been, you know, as his career went on, that great changeup and that good arm side fade. You see it with Bowman as well.
Here's Jeffrey Perez. And he takes a ball. He was signed in 2008. And now he grounds back to Bowman. So Matt Bowman, a scoreless 8th. Nice work. He'll be a fixture in that bullpen again this year for the Cardinals. 9th inning rolls in when we come back. last year at AA Jacksonville, which has been the highest he has been in the Marlins organization. He was signed out of Wayne State University. His first pro season was 2011, and getting a chance to pitch in a big league spring training game.
Leading off the top half of the ninth inning for the Cardinals, the catcher,
live arm, good velocity.
Dennis Ortega, the Cardinals catcher currently, will lead things off. We're in the ninth, and it's 8-5. Todd Hollandsworth of Fox Sports Florida, Dan McLaughlin of Fox Sports Midwest. Harrison Bader is on deck. We talk about exit velocity, and Bader certainly has that. He has made in one pro season, jumped all the way up to AAA. Here's the 0-1 pitch from Tyler Higgins. Ortega was hit by a pitch behind home plate on a foul tip. Caught his shoulder, stayed in the game. We'll find out word from the Cardinal perspective on Jordan Schaefer, who had to lead the game while pitching. We saw him in the dugout. He's kind of limping around, so you wonder if it was more of a leg issue than an arm issue.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but he did not look comfortable coming off the mound, and I think that's really what he was dealing with right there. Almost a sense of trying to gut it out and get that last out or make that last pitch, but clearly something wrong with Jordan Schaefer.
Little chopper that's hit to short, and Ortega is the first out here in the ninth. So Higgins gets the first man, and it brings in Bader.
Good action on the ball from Higgins so far, working down in the zone. We've talked an awful lot about that today, and you've seen it. The success that these guys have had have really been at the bottom of the zone. He comes in throwing strikes down there. Good to see. Lots of ground balls.
Harrison Bader, 3-year starter for Florida. Cardinals drafted and signed Bader for about $400,000. Had 11 home runs in 2015. That led all the draft picks of that class. And then last year, split time between Springfield and Memphis. Springfield, the AA affiliate. Memphis, the AAA affiliate of the Cardinals. And combined there, he had 19 home runs.
Well, so far, a good start to his young career, it sounds like.
You see him, he's, you know, upper body really put together. And we talk about guys that are, you know, when they swing, they put everything into it, kind of the all or nothing. He's that.
Yeah.
An impressive home run a couple of games ago to dead center field with the wind blowing in. That's hard to do at this ballpark.
Good balance at the plate, good rhythm. Took that pitch right there as if, you know, he's nice, calm, and relaxed. He's not coming out of his swing. He's not out of control, as we say, as a hitter right now. He looks very under control and certainly trusting his hand-eye coordination.
2-1 is hit sharply foul.
That's a pretty good example of it right there. That breaking ball up in the zone just a little bit. My goodness, his bat speed through the zone, very impressive right there. Watch this bat speed through the zone. Short, quick, front side down, and just quick to the ball right there. Not a long swing, barrel right to it. Just missed himself an extra base hit right there.
2-2 the count, 1 out, nobody on. Paul DeYoung on deck, who has a 3-run homer in this game. And again, he pulls it foul. Cardinals with a right-hander getting loose in their pen. Bader put that one off his foot.
You remember those.
You more than anybody.
Yeah, you remember. When I say you remember them, you typically remember them for the rest of your life, because it's the kind of damage, like, you know, you break a toenail and it'll never be the same again. I mean, you wouldn't realize what hitters go through in a lengthy career, fouling balls off their lower legs.
How did you deal with it? Because some of our fans may not know the shin issues that you had.
Oof, I had the, well, by definition, so you understand, it was the football shin injury. I literally shattered my shin, basically, is what it was, and with a foul ball, fouling it off just like that. And then, as crazy as this sounds, fouled the ball off my knee 3 years later, and it broke in the spot it originally broke in.
There's a fly ball into center.
I know a lot about leg pain. Yes, that's a fact.
Did pitchers then pitch you inside on purpose, thinking that you might be gun shy?
Absolutely. But the funny thing about it was I never was. I mean, that was the joy. There was a period of time I remember vividly. Like, so when I kind of had worked through that and came back, I was feasting. I was getting mine because I mean, short arms. I was pretty good at handling the ball in the middle half. As long as it was up, I kept it up. I could do pretty well with fastballs on the inside part of the plate. And I was getting pounded in a lot. And I think in regards to that, because I was wearing a big shin guard when I came back.
I remember. And
I was ripping balls down the right. Now, once that stopped, they started going away and things started changing again. Low and away, low and away, low and away. But to your point, right, it kind of actually made my game a little easier because I kind of knew what was coming.
You know, a lot of guys
kind of getting tested in there.
Well, they get the foul ball, and it's like 9 times out of 10, that next pitch is coming down and in.
Right.
See what you want to go hit it again?
Well, but see, I was a stubborn player. Don't get me wrong. If you don't know that by now, you can hear me. I mean, I was the guy that ran into walls, that did crazy stuff. How many coaches used to tell me you're reckless. You need to stop this. But I would think that way. Like, all right, this guy's going to pound me inside because I'm wearing this shin guard. So I would, even cheat to the pitch at times, but just guess and try to yank.
Here's a 2-0 pitch to DeYoung. Tap foul. This was back in the 7th inning. Paul DeYoung, impressive here to go opposite field into right center.
I did that like once in my life. Well, not just Oppo. I mean, he was so smooth through that ball right there and drove it out. Like, it's funny, we talk about hitters and, how they define themselves or what they do. And we were talking about exit velocity and different things. But in my case, I have very short arms. So I had to stand very close to the plate and cover it. But it actually made me a pull hitter because I was so close to the plate. I got pitched in a lot. Sure. I did not handle the ball low and away very well. I mean, that was it. I had to turn the pitch low and away and make it more like a pitch down the middle of the plate. That's how close I would stand to the plate.
And a change up in the dirt. 3-2 the count on DeYoung.
Thus 2 broken legs. That's why
I remember you going through that. And you describe it with the shins. You were kind of the poster child of guys that when he had a foul ball.
It's happened a lot more since then, which is so amazing to me. Nobody knew how to treat it at the time. And it's not, it wasn't a blaming. It's not me blaming the medical staff in any way. It was just we didn't have a good understanding of how to get through it. And we ended up finding out later that it's a very common football injury. A lot of lower leg injuries with helmets hitting legs and getting stress fractures in their legs. And, the MRI showed it looked like shattered glass. It hadn't exploded. Like my bone wasn't off joint, but it had all these micro fractures all over it. I mean, it just had all these lines, and you're like, that's the break. And then the crazy thing was, even after I healed and came back and played 2 more years and played at a high level and was running and stealing bases and everything, I fouled a ball off my knee and it broke in the same spot. Isn't that crazy? Right. Yeah. So it didn't break where the ball fouled off my knee 2 years later. It broke there, even though I fouled it off up here.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Here's Patrick Wisdom. First pitch, a strike. Think about young guys just trying to get over the hump to get to big league baseball. And, Wisdom and Bader and DeYoung of the Cardinals are close. Sometimes it's the mental aspect of it, dealing with failure. A pitch in the dirt, 1 ball, then 1 strike. Wisdom, a third baseman, known for his glove and in particular his arm. He's got a big arm from over at third base, but then trying to put the whole package together with what he can do at the plate. He's got good power, 3 home runs this spring.
You realize the talent that you've got, and these young men certainly have it, and they're displaying it today. You got to keep it going and keep yourself in that loop. That's what it's all about. Waiting for that injury. You don't know where it's going to pop up, when the opportunity is going to come.
Here's a 1-1. Now 1 ball and 2 strikes. DeYoung, the runner at first with 2 outs. 8-5 the score here in the top of the 9th. One-two pitch.
Try right there by Higgins, going to the slider, trying to get the swing and the miss, low and away.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Tom Kohler made the start for Miami. Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals. This point for two established veterans, just trying to get their work in, pitch count up, deeper into games. And a 2-2 pitch. DeYoung off with the next delivery, 3-2 and 2 outs. Interesting to see Moore still holding him on with
2 outs.
Yep. There he goes, and the pitch is taken for a ball. So Wisdom draws a walk and extends the inning to Sierra. For those of you watching on Fox Sports Midwest, reminder, our next telecast is tomorrow, as we'll come your way at noon. The Astros will be here, A.J. Hinch's club. One of the favorites in the American League with all the changes that they've had. Signing Reddick and Beltran, and a lineup that seems to be loaded. So 2 outs and 2 on, and here's Sierra. There's ball 1.
Higgins got to work back into the zone. Been falling behind hitters here, putting himself in position. Got a couple runners on right here. Marlins want to give themselves a chance. Got to get this out.
Here's a 1-0. And Sierra hits it in the air down the left field line. That ball will drop, and it is fair. Run scores. That's DeYoung to extend the Cardinals' lead to 9-5.
Well, you see it time and time again. Leadoff walks, they lead to damage. In this case, it does once again. Fastball right there. It's not a bad pitch, really. I think you look back at this situation, it's the walks he's going to be frustrated with right there. I mean, that's, again, a fastball up in the zone. He beat him with the velocity, and he's able to drop it down the line. That's not where you get upset. It's the fact that DeYoung and the walks right there, you put yourself in the position where you can't be making those mistakes.
Extends the inning to Anthony Garcia. Runners at first and second. Back to a 4-run St. Louis lead. And the last thing that Don Mattingly wanted to do was get somebody up and throwing. He's had to do that.
Well, at this time of spring training, you have to have great patience. Your managers really do. You've got younger players in camp, and the walks. I mean, the tolerance for walks at the major league level it's unacceptable, really. I mean, you put yourself in a position where they're going to happen, and if you're doing it too much, you're going to lose your role. You're going to either get sent down or you're going to get changed out. Here in spring training, you try to let guys work through it a little bit more. You realize that this is a work in progress, that this is technically practice, and that guys, put themselves in a position where they walk a guy or two. You want to give them the opportunity to get out of the jam, but sometimes too much right now. 25 pitches in the inning.
It's Brandon Cuniff getting loose in the pen. Couple of hops hit to short, and a force play just gets Sierra. Barely. Sierra, the little blue base hit, brings in DeYoung for the Cardinals, and they have a 9-5 lead. His record this spring, he's been very good. 11 strikeouts in 5 innings. And he has got a big, big arm. A former infielder. This will be the 5th year that he's now on the mound. How about this? He had homered in a game in the minor leagues, and then later that day told that, oh, by the way, your days as a position player are done. You're pitching. That was back at Johnson City, a minor league affiliate of the Cardinals.
It's the way you go out.
So, hey, you go out in style.
Hey, you hit a homer and just, I'm done.
You're done.
What'd you do your last at bat? I hit a home run.
Hit a home run, no big deal. Cardinals have implored him to learn the cutter, try to master that pitch.
Well, he really seems like he's coming into his own this spring. Huge spring numbers already. 11 punch-outs in 5 innings. Oof.
So he averages around 97, 98 with the fastball. The cutter's around 87. Left-handers really got to him at AAA. That was one of the issues that he had as he's been up and down the last couple of years. There's the breaking ball taken low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brandon Barnes wearing the shin guard of the front leg. My partner Todd Hollandsworth talking about that earlier. No fun.
No, bad memories. Let that go.
2 balls and a strike. Two-one pitch to Brandon Barnes.
You get a good look at that velocity right there. Hitters count the ability to challenge a pretty good hitter in Barnes and right out over the plate and get it by him clean. Oof.
It's bringing it.
Yes, it is.
Two-two pitch by Tuivailala.
Come on.
Thought it may have been a foul tip and held on to by.
We've got some
Ortega.
Confusion here. We got a safe call at first base. I'm not sure if it was on the check swing.
Barnes is saying it hit him.
Yeah,
he's shaking his left hand.
Yeah, might have hit the top of his hand right there. You know, this is a byproduct of the pitch prior to that, right? Get that bat early. He started his hands into the zone a little bit earlier than he did the pitch before to the 2-1 pitch, and I think that's kind of what, you know, the adjustment that he made. He's like, this guy's throwing hard, 97 miles an hour. I got to start a little earlier, and you see it right there. That's how you make an adjustment as a hitter. You're like, all right, you know, I can't fly open, I can't break the rules of hitting, but what can I do? I can start my swing a little earlier, and you see right there why he did. Ends up with the hit by pitch.
So Barnes is aboard. And it brings in Den Decker. So lefty's an issue for Tuivailala, and let's see how this plays out with Den Decker, who's seen Major League time with the New York Mets.
There's a home run already today.
First pitch is taken for a ball. This is back in the 7th inning, and the home run Todd was talking about off of Jordan Schaefer. Here's a 1-0. Fouled back. With the cutter, it seems like that has become more in vogue every year with Major League Baseball pitchers.
Well, hitters have not really, you know, it's not a pitch that hitters have learned to dominate. You know what I'm saying? You know, as the pitch has evolved and really kind of started to show itself over the years, which we see so many guys wanting to throw the cutter. Now, I know that there's theories out there about Tommy John and different things playing off the cutter, but the reality is that if you, like Mariano Rivera did for so long, throw it effectively, it is what it is. I mean, hitters, you know, you don't learn to really hit. I'm a good cutter hitter.
Yeah.
You ever heard it? I mean, it doesn't exist. Some people would say, well, he's a good breaking ball hitter or he's a good fastball hitter, but nobody says that because it's been that difficult to pitch, especially for lefties. Typically, we talk about it with the righty-lefty matchup.
A good cutter gets in the hands and in the kitchen of a left-handed hitter.
It's the rules of the game. As hitters, we're like, okay, what is in my box when I see the ball out of his hand and I pick it up? And that cutter plays into that zone, and then it ends up out of the zone. So you have to have a great deal of discipline to let that pitch go, and well, many of us don't.
So he's hit a man and now walked Den Decker, and pitching himself into trouble now. First and second, nobody out, and it brings in Moore. I mean, you could see why the Cardinals are so high on Tuivailala. I mean, God-given right arm that's, you know, hitting triple digits sometimes. But it's command of the strike zone and command of the cutter. But late inning guy, if you're going to be in that role, you got to throw strikes.
The key always for all of them, you've all got to throw strikes, but you fall in love with the velocity and you continue to work out the process until you realize either the player is going to make it or not.
The pitch in the dirt, kept in front by Ortega. Moore a base hit today, and hitting .381 this spring. 1 ball and no strikes. You know, a lot of our fans, if you're tuned in, they're used to watching Major League Baseball. When you watch spring training around the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, this is what you're seeing with minor league baseball.
Right.
A lot of minor leaguers in there trying to figure out how to get over the hump, get to that next level, throw strikes. 2 balls and 1 strike.
It's not for lack of talent. That's the thing that you realize in the minor leagues. The talent exists in a lot of ways. You'll see guys who are as fast as D. Gordon. You'll see guys who can hit balls nearly as far as Giancarlo Stanton. The reality is the consistency for which they do it is lacking, or opportunity is lacking. So, I mean, sometimes the talent is undeniable and guys can rush to the big leagues, but those, I mean, people, I don't know if you really realize how few and far between those opportunities really are. The Mike Trouts of the world, they don't grow on trees, I guess is the point. And you have to work yourself through those processes. So many guys, I remember having a great conversation with J.D. Martinez a few spring trainings ago, as you know, his time in Houston didn't really work out. Now he's a 30-100 guy with the Detroit Tigers. J.D. was telling me, I had a game in winter ball. I hit 2 home runs and I really learned about my swing and my swing path, and all of a sudden I turned into this player. And to listen to hear him talk about it, it is all about the process. And this process is playing out right now. You see it. These guys, they don't lack the ability. They don't lack the velocity. They lack the consistency.
Consistency is the key.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Say it time and time. Where else in the world do you face the pitchers that you face? Clayton Kershaw. I mean, most guys aren't figuring out how to succeed against them, but you're figuring out how to survive. Because here's the thing. If you're a San Francisco Giant, you're going up against Clayton Kershaw 4 times a year. You better figure out how to be productive and have productive at-bats as best you can against him, or that time or that opportunity is going to go away. I mean, it's just really how it works, and that's the name of the game at the major league level. In the minor leagues, things are constantly evolving and changing. You're not playing against the same guys over and over and over again. You're moving or somebody else is moving along. At the big leagues, it's a collection of all the greatest talent in the world.
3-2 is a high fly ball out to deep right. That'll stay in the ballpark. The catch is made for the first out. Runner tags from second to third. And there's one away here in the bottom of the ninth.
You start to realize, you know, like in my career, you're going to face Kurt Schilling 50 times. You're going to face Greg Maddux 70 times. You're going to have to figure out how to get these guys, the Noah Syndergaards of the game, and how to be productive against them. And that's what you start to, you pick up on here. Spring training is not necessarily the greatest example of that. September baseball really isn't. But this is where you put yourself in the line of your manager and your coaches and say, okay, this kid's got game. He's got bat speed. He's got exit velocity. This kid's got a great arm. He's ready to go. Then they stay on your mind, and then you're in that opportunity. If somebody gets hurt or somebody goes down, they say, that's the guy I want.
There's J.T. Riddle, the shortstop for Miami. First pitch taken high. 18 pitches this far for Tuivailala. And you think about if you're a closer, you want to be so efficient because you got to be back-to-back. You know, 3 in a row probably doesn't happen very often, but 2 in a row certainly does.
You realize that, understanding the role or even seeing the situation right here, whether he was going to be available or not, the lesson you see, like you're right, 19 pitches, this could potentially get a little bit more because he's still kind of in the, a little bit of a pickle here, but you realize that it's the inefficiency or the lack of consistency that leads you in, puts you in a position of, he's not that answer. Not yet, anyway.
2-1 the count. Strike zone has been a little tight for Sam, but it didn't help when he hit the first man, and then the next man he walks on 4 pitches.
And the Marlins pick up on that. They're putting together good at-bats against him. They're realizing he's working around the zone just a bit. He's not attacking the strike zone with his velocity and setting up his breaking pitch. He's kind of nibbling right now, and it's just putting him in a spot where the Marlins hitters are saying, you know what? I'm going to look right out over the middle of the plate, and if you're not there, I'm taking.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Riddle. Hitting .238, no home runs, couple of RBIs this spring. The 2-2. Inside. And again, it's another 3-2 count.
Well, and you see that pitch right there and the ineffectiveness of it. It's an easy take for a hitter. That's not even a flinch pitch. That's not a check swing pitch. It's nowhere near the zone, and you see that out of his hand regardless of the velocity. In other words, it's a wasted pitch.
And you put yourself in hitters counts. 3-2 pitch. There it is. Base hit into right. A run will score. And that makes it a 9-6 St. Louis lead.
Nice swing of the bat right there, earning that fastball out over the plate. And again, we talked about it, the inconsistency of the secondary pitches, the lack of command on the fastball. He's looking one pitch, one spot. Riddle gets a fastball out over the plate. I don't care how hard you throw. You're going to pay the price if you're out over the plate. And Riddle rips one into right center field.
And it brings in Anderson. So the tying runs, all right, first and second, and still unfinished business here for Tuivailala. Rather, the tying run at the plate.
Indeed.
And there's ball 1.
Let it work, come on. Poor coach.
1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1 breaking ball. So right now you can eliminate the breaking ball to an extent.
Well, you're looking at hitters counts. You're going up to the plate saying, okay, I got to respect his velocity, but I don't have to pay too much attention to his breaking pitches because number one, he can't throw them for a strike. I'm looking in one spot for his fastball because again, he's not even maintaining fastball command. And when you don't have fastball command, I've said it 2 or 3 times today, but it's so true. It's keyholing a pitcher. It doesn't matter whether you throw 100 miles an hour or not. I'm looking out over the plate because odds are your command's not good enough right now that you're going to throw a pitcher's pitch on the outside corner, and I'm going to have to deal with it.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. 3-2.
Yep, some healthy hacks by Marlin hitters.
You know, we talk about it so often, too. You throw it 110 miles an hour. Major league hitters catch up. They make the adjustment. Robbie Rowland is throwing again in the Cardinals' pen, second time that he's been up. 1 out, runners at first and second, and the 3-2 pitch. Guided into right. This is a fair ball down into the corner. A run will score. It's a double for Anderson. And the tying runs are now in scoring position. And Derek Lilliquist, the Cardinals pitching coach, is up and out to visit with Tuivailala. Now we got a ball game.
Yeah, and Anderson, great piece of hitting right there. Going the other way, pitch out over the plate. And again, we talk about sometimes guys with velocity. He didn't go up there looking to pull. He was going to keep that front shoulder in and drive it the other way.
Come on, hustle, 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 hustle. Get your head in the game.
pitch for Sam Tuivailala. 36 pitches for him. Could not get the final out. And David Bell, acting as the manager for the Cardinals, will make that change. So Rolen will come in. When we come back, it's 9-8. 2 runners on for Miami. 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Up for the second time, and now comes in this game in relief of Sam Tuivailala, the 25-year-old out of Toledo, Ohio. He began his career as a starter, moved to the bullpen in 2014. He's remained there and trying to get the final out. 2 runners on for Miami, and there's ball 1.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've created ourselves a moment here. We've got a game on the line, 9-8, first and third, and these 2 young men, Galloway and Roland, are the X factors in a quite an entertaining ball game today.
Isaac Galloway at the plate. 2 runners on. Their score is 9-8 St. Louis. 2-0. Right now, David Bell's trying to find somebody to throw strikes. Last year, a non-roster invitee to Major League Spring Training, but had bone spurs that shut him down. Robbie Roland did have 1 save. That was at Palm Beach a year ago. Eventually made it up to Double-A in Springfield. Here's a 2-0 pitch. The 2-1. 2-2, and the Marlins down to their final strike.
A real big pitch right there by Roland. Able to go to that hard slider away. 2-1 pitch. Hitters count. Kept it low and away. Even if he gets contact right there, probably not the best of contacts.
The 2-2 pitch.
Tight zone all day today.
Wow.
You see it again. Kind of works its way out of the zone just a little bit late right there. There you go.
Strike zone has been tight here in the 9th.
Galloway, well, yeah, it has. It's been tight at different points today. I certainly have been picking up on that. But again, you know, trying to put stock into spring training and what, you know, spring training, it's spring training for the umpires too, if you know what I mean.
3-2 pitch. And he walked him. The bases are loaded, and a base hit could win it for Miami. 3 Perez with the bases loaded and the game on the line here in the bottom of the 9th. He's flied out. He's grounded out. 0 for 2 today. And that's a ball.
Well, Cardinals are really struggling with the strike zone right now. Marlins hitters sizing them up, looking for something to drive.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. You could see in the previous at bat, Roland thought he had strike 3, game over, and then had to amp it up again, and he's been struggling to find the strike zone here. 1 ball, 1 strike. And again, the Marlins down to their final strike. 1-2 the count. Pretty good slider that Roland features.
Right. A lot of depth, a lot of movement down in the zone. Kind of starts up right there about the waist and works its way down. And again, tough pitch to lay off right there. You see Perez kind of chasing it out of the zone. He's going to have to put that 2-strike approach on right here and battle his way back into the at-bat.
The 1-2 pitch to Perez. Stays alive.
Appropriately.
Why not extend it, right?
1 more pitch. Catching just a piece, but that's what you got to do as a hitter right here in this situation. You're down in the count and game on the line. With 2 strikes, you got to shorten up and look to find a way to put this ball in play. Fight until you get something you can handle.
Here's a 1-2 again. And the ball gets away. Run scores, game tied. It's 9-9.
We talk about the effectiveness of Roland's slider right there. Goes back to it one more time, trying to get that swing and a miss. Just too much movement there on the inside part of the plate. Gets away to the backstop. We got ourselves a ball game.
Marlins tie it up with a wild pitch. Base hit wins it. The 2-2. Went back with that slider, and it's kept in front by Ortega.
Nice job by Perez, working himself back into the count. Roland trying to go back to that spot, that slider that he chased earlier in the at-bat, trying to get back there again. Now he's laying off those pitches. He's getting better looks at them. This is kind of a lesson in hitting right here, and the patience that you have to have with 2 strikes. Let that ball get a little bit deeper, kind of get up there and fight.
3-2 pitch. Struck him out. Will we head to extra innings, or will this be it? And the Marlins start to head to their complex. Cardinals now gathering up their equipment. Looks like that'll be it. Both teams say no mas.
No mas.
Todd, this was fun. Great job.
Enjoyed it.
Have a great year on Fox Sports Florida. 9-9 our final. I'll wrap it up when we come back.